Call the meeting to order if everybody could stand. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can we get a roll call, Madam Auditor?
Yes, Councilmember Rivas,
I'm here.
Councilmember Bozick,
Present.
Councilmember Brickner,
Here.
Councilmember Graham. Here. Councilmember Jessen,
Here.
Councilmember Wagner,
Here.
and Councilmember Sims.
Present.
7 present.
The original present. You're last, I was second.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody's here, so we're gonna dive into second reading. Sheriff's up first, and maybe last. I think the whole day is his, isn't it? Maybe a few other people. But, we're gonna, as we work into it though, so the wage committee, you all right? The wage committee has spent some, quite a bit of time, my understanding, met 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 or 4 times. And so I don't know, Mike and Vicky, what are you looking for?
My wage study, it got caught up in all the papers. I don't know where it went. Oh, well. Sorry.
Do you have some notes on it or
I
something?
don't know, but I want that one.
Breaking things on it. That's okay.
Yeah, that's like the key. That's like the teacher's key.
It really is.
Never mind, I got it. It was bad.
Oh, blaming us for stuff. So what was just passed out to you guys on top, and, Vicky, maybe if you want to go over the top one, you guys, I think there's some scenarios too on the work of the wage committee, which I appreciate. And I think it's been Mike and Greg, and Sylvia's filled in when, somebody hasn't been able to get there, and it looks like they put quite a bit of work into it. So, I don't know, Mike, if you want to kind of lead off the work, and Vicky can kind of dive into this before we get going.
Well, let's have Vicky go first,
Okay.
and then that sets the stage for the wage discussion.
Real good. Well, just to begin, the Wage Committee has been meeting practically every week, so there's been 4 meetings since Wagner Irwin and Sheely Wiss, for short, presented the wage study back in August. There's been a lot of hours, a lot of work done on this, where we had to take their study and sort of break it down by fund and to try to make sense of what this would really cost, what different options makes the most sense. And I think it's fair to say that the committee wanted to be as fair as possible to the employees, to resolve some of the biggest pay disparities that exist in county government right now, and wanted to do the most good for the biggest benefit of people. So the message, at least that we received in the auditor's office, was that we wanted to implement this wage study, and that was the top priority. So should I go into what the proposal is that we so
Yeah.
far have ended up at?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the first step is the parity level. The WIS came up with a study of all of the existing positions and then compared them to other similar positions in county government. And they identified employees who were under what's called the internal base, also known as the parity level. And so there was a total of 351 employees under the parity level in county government. So the first step of the committee's recommendation is that everyone gets brought up to the parity level. And so we eliminate these discrepancies between similar types of positions or similar classified positions. And then the wage committee came up with a benchmark that they'd like to get all employees to. And this is looking at the external analysis. WIS gave us 3 general benchmarks, and so the committee would like to pick the benchmark that's halfway to midpoint. And so people would be brought to base, and they would be brought up to halfway to midpoint. There is 2 caveats to that, though. A number of employees by bringing them up to halfway to midpoint, would get very large percentage raises. And so the committee feels that they should be capped at 20%. So yes, we have a number of people that would receive a 20% pay hike under this proposal. And then the other caveat is that there are many, many employees who are already close to that halfway to midpoint, if not exceeding halfway to midpoint. And so some of these employees would get a very small raise. I think the smallest that is identified is something around $53 for the entire year. So that's why the last part of the committee's recommendation is to provide a supplement pay. And that pay would be for anyone whose raise is less than $3,000. And so if you're less than $3,000, you would get a supplement to bring you to at least $3,000. So overall, the average increase to pay
To increase it.
would be, let me back up, the supplement would not be a raise, it would be a supplement, like a one-time pay. And then the base and the midpoint would be rolled into the salary, okay? So the average increase to pay in 2023 by implementing this study is about 9%. That's the average employee raise.
And that was, and just so, and it looks like, and I think Mike had asked, after talking to Mike, to throw that in there. So the paper that you guys have, there's the option of 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000 on there. So,
And just to clarify, I mean, the intention was not tonight to present the proposal to the full
Oh.
council.
So I should not have said what I said.
well, Mike, it was because to me, where she's going with it, because to me, what we have in front of us ultimately is going to be geared towards what's in front of us over the next 3 days is, in order for us to do this, possibly, if we, even whether it's the 25 or the 3,000 and to implement the, base halfway to midpoint, plus the $20,000 cap, the cost of that is $1.4 million. We know the general fund increases are already $500,000. So right now, if we implemented, if we did kind of what the committee is suggesting, our increase to the general fund is almost $2 million already. So that means that we have to cut $500,000 as we begin the process. So to me, I wanted it at least to be presented somewhat so that we know what we're doing as we begin second reading, that we have a target.
Can I just ask a question? Does this number up here include this option, the 3,000, or is it plus that?
No, so that is, we'd have to find a funding source for that. So these stipends, so this is a general fund number up top. Whether it's the 2,000 at 383, whether it's the 2,500 at 560,000, or the 3,000 at 760,000, that is maybe our, ARPA funding to make sure everybody gets in this county at least $3,000. We got to find that funding source, and that could possibly be ARPA or foundation funds. This top number is general fund money.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
and that's why Mike and talking to Vicki, it was, I didn't want to lay everything out, but I think we have to in a sense, because if this is what we want to do, we got to find $500,000 to cut. I don't want to.
Yeah, no, I think to set the stage for what we're about to embark on relative to the department's budgets, I think we have to set the stage for that. My point in saying that the committee has not made a recommendation yet is simply that, because in all fairness to committee members, we have not gotten together collectively to say this is what we want to present to the council. So in fairness to Mike, Greg, and Sylvia, who's helped out too, I think we should have a meeting to discuss what the final proposal would be. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we're in a tough spot based on the upcoming budgets and how it relates to this wage study analysis that's been done. And I think the wage study information, and I appreciate everyone's work on the committee, and of course Vicki and her office. We've put a lot of work and effort into analyzing the pay. We knew the wage review would not be easy, and we also knew that it was ultimately going to be expensive to ultimately do the right thing by the way of our employees. And I think our attitude has been and should be to take care of first things first. And I think the employees should be viewed as first and foremost in our mind. And that's different from how we've handled it in past years, where we didn't talk about salaries until the very end, where we looked at what was left after we gave away money to the budgets, and then we divvied that out, and I've said arbitrarily, to employees based on what was left. And we're saying, we're taking a look at, although we're not prepared to make that recommendation tonight on wages, we're taking a look at the wage component first and saying that's the most important piece of what we're doing this year in the budget cycle. And I'm convinced that what we ultimately come up with and present to the council, will be a very transformative first step to getting wages closer to where they need to be. And we also know going into it that we wouldn't please everybody. And we also know that whatever we do, we're not going to be able to do it all in one fell swoop, meaning this year. It's going to take some time to get us to where we need to be, because frankly, we're correcting the sins of our forefathers in terms of not taking a close enough look at what the wages truly should be. And whatever decision we make is going to be a data-driven decision based on that study. So I'm very optimistic about the work that's been done relative to the wage analysis. I think we're very close to making a recommendation that will be a very positive first step to get this long-standing problem corrected. So, and I think it is important to talk about the wage component, because that will be the focus of everything we do from this night forward. And I think it's important to talk about it, but we're not quite prepared to make that recommendation just yet.
Well, I understand, and I appreciate the work, and I wasn't trying to jump the gun on your guys' final recommendation, but I think it's important, as I don't want to go through second reading and make a bunch of approvals, and then to do what we need to do for our employees, have to go back and cut $500,000 or $1 million out of budgets, So I think moving forward, setting the stage a little bit tonight is ultimately somewhere in the ballpark. We're already $500,000 over in the general fund. So as we look at these general fund budgets, we have to look at them, and we have to question the department heads, elected officials. Is there other ways that you can find some funding for this stuff, so that we can really focus on our employees this year, which is going to be a decent amount of money to do what we want to do aggressively attack this wage study and give our employees what they deserve. So, anybody got anything?
And I think maybe, Vicki, what you could do to help everybody is, in terms of what I would call new money that we have to work with, is what's that amount? The million.
The amount
450.
to increase the general fund
Yeah.
budget. My recommendation is no more than 1.45 million.
1.45 million. And so that is the target at this point, to say the wage proposal, budget revisions ultimately need to be in the ballpark of $1,450,000.
Right. And when I was talking about the wage committee, I hope I didn't present it as a recommendation. This is just the latest working proposal. Like I said, there's been a lot of deep diving into these numbers and changing some different options here or there. So that's just the latest.
And what, the other thing that was just handed out too, in very fine print, is if you guys historically underutilized budgets, and I know this is another difficult thing, because we don't want our department heads running out and just spending money that they have, but it's maybe areas that we could use to help fund these raises. If, every year a couple $10,000, $20,000 isn't utilized in some departments, then maybe that can be shifted over to, salaries. So that's what the auditor's office put together also. Tony handed that out coming in, so that's just another component as we go through the next 3 days and get into final reading. So, all right, anybody, anything else? Vicki? No?
Jimmy, I'm just curious, how are we going to utilize this? Are we going to ask them when they're in front of us, or do you know yet?
It's information that, yeah, utilize it as you, it's just information in front of you. I just got it too, so, yeah, we can look down at the sheriff with your magnifying glass and see some unutilized line items there. Sheriff? So, yeah, I mean, those would be, I guess, really good questions to ask, you know, as it's in front of us. You know, can it, you know, possibly be done? So, all right, are we ready? Ready to dive in?
Let's go.
Sorry, wasn't a sneak attack.
Actually, you can't see what we're looking at, but we're sorry.
We can't see it either.
Yeah, right. It's very,
Can't see it
very
either.
fine print.
So, all right,
Eric
so.
can read it, he's young.
All right, here we go, second reading, so we'll start, and you guys, I think, Joy, you said there might have been one or something that wasn't highlighted, but again, everything.
Not
in-
today, though.
Not today, everything in red there's changes, everything that is in black, there's no changes, but I think last year we still made sure we voted on them for the record. So however we want to do it.
Are all salary increases removed as normal? Or
They were supposed to be, but, I mean, there's some we have to, I mean, there's a sheriff's increase
The
right
onesie,
here.
twosy, okay.
That we have to do, I believe, by law. So, but, all right, we'll get going with the sheriff general fund in front of us, so. Sylvia, did you have anything?
I would just, like Andy said, I understand what you said about what we have to vote on tonight, but, so the auditor's gonna keep a running count of what we've spent so far, and I think we've already spent quite a bit. Okay.
All right, so the sheriff's general fund budget's in front of you, and there's some increases, looks like a difference of $218,000. Is that correct? Do I have that right?
That's the way I see it.
218,
340.
there's an increase in the general fund, so this goes to the point where, you know, if in fact we're chasing after, you know, the not presented proposal from the wage committee, but where we've got to cut $500,000, there's a request for an additional $218,000 in front of you. So it looks like the salaries went up, like I said, the sheriff increased, but I don't think we have a choice on that. Part-time paper services, there's an increase in hourly, $15 to $20 an hour, which increases that line item by $13,000. Look like pension 2023 increased $10,000. $73 per diem for specialty field training officers. So.
Can you tell us what that's about? It doesn't look like we were budget, am I allowed to ask that?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. President. From 2022, you guys had 0, and now it's at 73,000?
So that's based on some of the information that you guys received from the wage study about our specialty pay for our officers. Our officers that are on accident reconstruction and crime scene investigation. Our canine officers are actually, it's mandated by the Fair Labor Standards Act that we compensate those gentlemen 30 minutes per day, every day, 365 days a year. So that's included in there.
Where was that before?
When was that?
Where was that money coming out of before?
It wasn't money. We've been giving them days off. But with that, we've had problems now that we're short, keeping enough officers on the road.
Like, I have, right now, I have 6 in the academy. Okay, so I've got, because of what's going on, you know, we've talked about recruiting and retaining. You understand? Everybody's clear with that?
I know what those words
Well,
mean.
the problem is, we're trying to attract people and have them stay, get them and then have them stay. and never before have we ever had to lose as many people because, and what they're going for, better pay. So, and I'm not questioning this study. I think the study is a great idea. I think it's a year old. I think, they come up with this external midpoint, and you need to understand what we're dealing with. LaPorte just gave them guys 25 to 35% raise. Lake County's got a big pay raise.
But where are those numbers at, though? We understand 30%, but what does that 30% mean? 50,000 a year, 60,000 a year, 40,000 a year?
Oh, we can give you the numbers. It's
Well, I- Yeah.
It's, the captains are gonna be up from like 50,000 to like 80,000.
80?
I should say 50, the captains are a little higher.
And even the
They went up
jailers.
to about $80,000 as a captain, with experience, obviously, they had longevity and all that.
Okay, but that's the biggest thing. I mean, it's not just a percentage, it's where's their outcome, because we don't know where those numbers were before.
We didn't have,
You
before.
know.
When we did the presentation with our PowerPoint, that was after we did our PowerPoint presentation. They implemented the public safety tax over there, when they got all that money through that, that's where they got that money from.
I mean, and you can't control that. I mean, they passed a public safety tax, which a lot of the counties are doing, but that's what we're competing against. We're also, the one thing 20 years ago, the younger officers really didn't care about their pension. I mean, they really didn't. In the 70s and the 80s, when they got hired, they didn't say, well, what's my pension? Well, these guys know what their pension is now. They know if they go to Chesterton or Porter, they have this master patrolman, it's off of $80-some thousand. So you're talking the difference is our pension is 32,000 compared to the lower 40s in some of these departments, almost all of them. And what we're seeing now is, even with the guys that just left, we're getting word that, they're going to the trades, which they didn't used to do, and, I guess what we're saying, it all boils down to, you have a great question. That's, what we're trying to do is make it more attractive. So if you come, because they come to our department, went to Valpo because they give them specialties, Portage has specialties, we have specialties, but what we want to say is that we're not just going to give you time off, because time off for us is counterproductive. You have all these guys with these times off, they're not working. We need them to work. We want them to pay them, and we want to make it attractive for them. And that's the attraction and then the retention part of it. So what we're asking is, it would be a major plus for us to attract people and to keep people. We don't want to lose guys on our SWAT team. We have a bomb team, we have a SWAT team, we have canines. If we pay them and they get overtime, but they're not taking days off. So, because right now, I've never seen it like this before. And we're still training. I have a SWAT team, they're going to Plainfield for training. Look, so it's like, can you imagine being as stressed as we are with manpower? I can't say, oh, you can't go, you know what I'm saying? So I have guys working overtime, to cover them guys. So what we're trying to do, this would be a major bonus for us to attract people and to keep people. Because I don't even think it's that unreasonable what we're proposing, as far as the money is concerned. But and I know what you're trying to do, equal out everything, but in a way, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make our department, and Mike Brickner said it many times, he'd like to have our department the best paid. Well, if you're the best paid, people would be, they're going to be more inclined to maybe come to our department, if they think the money's there, and the pension's good. Now, I don't know how we're ever going to deal with the pension, how we can compete against the master patrolman thing what the cities and towns have done. But it's something that we got to consider.
I thought we just fixed the pension.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not being a smartass by any means, but I really thought that's what we did, is just attacked and fix that problem.
You didn't fix it, you just gave us something. You're not competing.
I didn't realize we were that far off, to be
Well-
honest. I don't mean to be rude, I just didn't know
Then
that.
I'm telling you, we're talking almost $10,000 a year difference. What you did, which I appreciate, you gave us something, the best 3 years. It's kind of counterproductive, because if you look at it, we're trying to keep people, but then that whole process was, you work 20 years and you can go somewhere else. But it's a way of attracting people.
But wasn't that
You're
your
right.
recommendation that we agreed to? So we kind of gave you what you asked for.
Right, and I'm not complaining, I'm just saying, it's not, it's like what you're doing. It's a step, it's not the end-all. What you're doing, it's not gonna be the end-all of your budget proposal. That pension proposal wasn't, it's gonna make everything fine, it's just a big step in the right direction.
So let me ask the sheriff, just as we look at the differences between 23 and 22. So on the salary component, there's a $69,000 increase, and I know yours is a small portion of that. What's the
You guys-
other part of that?
In the middle of the year, we added a patrol officer, so it's 61,677,000.
Okay, so that's including that
That's
person.
included in that. So it shows in the changes for.
Tim, you know off the top of your, what's Laporte's now with
Don't trust
this
it, they don't.
increase, their, let's go with probationary
I don't know them all. I just-
officer and then the pension base first class.
I can get all that, but there's a captain there,
Well, not captain, I'm talking about,
I don't know, I'll have to get all the other ones. All their employees got 25 and 27% for every employee.
for every Laporte County employee or for every officer?
It just says for every employee, I'm assuming it's the
So
sheriff.
you don't
the
know,
jailers.
you don't know off the top of your head the starting pay and first class pay? Okay. Do you know if they're, because you guys are at 61,677 for first class?
And they were lower than us when we did the PowerPoint presentation. They were lower than us. I think they're just over us now by $1,000 or $2,000 for probation.
And our probationary 52,218? Okay.
So,
But they have a captain with seniority,
This is crazy.
making $92,500.
It's only made $8,000. You find someone to do it for $8 an hour?
and that's all because of a tax that was
They had a
put on.
tax, they raised it to 1.4.
Then Steve Rowe does it now, right?
0.45, I think.
For $8 an hour.
So, what I hear you saying that you're asking for a patrol officer, an officer, to get extra pay for doing what he does. Is that what you're,
If they have a specialty.
and if they're on the, don't they SWAT team, don't they get more for being on the SWAT team?
They've never got more.
They had no conversation on it. They never had for 20 years.
But
That's part of their job though, right? Just like a,
It's a specialty, it's not a, a patrolman's not. on a
But if
SWAT
you
team.
go along with your study, which we agree with, the people that have specialties, that train more, that have different, levels of expertise, need to be compensated for that. And it goes two ways. It goes for attraction and keeping. But you're saying, well, if they're a police, whatever you have them do,
well, what does a patrol officer, you don't put them, they're either in the
First
SWAT
class.
team or they're not. That's what they do at the SWAT team?
No,
They
no,
don't-
no, they work as a patrolman or whatever they are. If they're a detective, I mean, their job is what their job is, it's addition. They don't, we're not a department where we're self-supported, a SWAT team like like Chicago. If you get on a SWAT team, that's your job. That's not how it is in Porter County.
But if
I
they get,
understand.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, I understand the state, didn't they mandate that anybody with a K-9, that they have to be compensated? So
Compensated.
that is, That's by law.
But,
But with the SWAT, if they get called out, they get overtime for that if it's above and beyond, right?
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, it is kind of compensation because they're getting paid for working longer, but they don't get paid extra just for being on SWAT. Sound fair to
Right.
say?
and does the law say that you guys have to compensate and we were doing it illegally, or you can go back to the time off? I'm not asking you to do that, I'm just wondering what it says.
They just say they have to be compensated, it doesn't say how, just that you have to do it. The reason that,
No, the reason we're trying to do that is get more guys on the road. Obviously, you guys know.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea, it was just a question, I'm
Just
sorry.
K-9 alone put 110 bodies back on the road for a year. Instead of giving them their days off.
Oh.
It's just paying them 110.
Did the payroll committee talk about those other compensations at all, or were you guys just discussing increase?
Very briefly.
No, not when
Quick
I was
mention.
president.
Yeah.
Is this something you guys are still tackling, or you guys aren't gonna be looking at this as?
You talking about specialty pays?
Yeah,
Is that more of an, is that an internal, I mean, if you presented, hey, I'd like to give my bike guys an extra $1,000 a year, is that more, that's an internal, that would be an internal
Just the
process.
on-call ones we're trying to.
What's that?
The on-call ones we're trying to compensate. Like bike patrol, we're not doing.
You know, I just use that, maybe a different
Let's say
specialty,
like
give me a
CSI.
specialty, SWAT.
SWAT,
You know, if you,
SWAT K-9
I
bomb.
think that'd be an internal decision that you would just say, I'd like to, it's not, goes against their base. It's just, if they're on the SWAT team, they get $1,000. If they say, I don't want to be on the SWAT team anymore, that $1,000 goes away. It doesn't go towards their salary base. I guess I'm just wondering, wouldn't that come from within your agency to be able to do something like that?
from one of our funds instead of the general.
Well, one of
fund?
your funds, or I don't know if it's even been presented to the council, is that we'd like to do the specialty to try and get extra money for these people doing extra things, kind of internal, maybe from your funds, would be nice, but it wouldn't go against the pension base. You see what I'm saying?
We did put it down as a per diem, which would not go, correct, ladies, towards their pension? It's-
It should be.
Base pay for their last 3
I
years.
didn't put it in salaries, I
That's
put it
kind
in
of
the,
what the specialty stuff we put in the game, so it's just a.
We would treat it as compensation. So there would have to be the FICA and pension applied to it. I don't see what the difference would
what
be.
the difference would be.
Yeah.
So what if the person's on, it's a specialty pay, and they're on that team, and then the next year, they're not on the team anymore, they're still an officer?
Every year,
Right.
Would they have,
Would like
would
to
that
take
be a
it out of,
reduction then in their,
let's say forfeiture if we had it.
well,
I would think so.
yeah, I mean, they would just take that $1,000 away.
Right.
So isn't it like I don't know if, I'm not, you have a separate category, you have
But would that go
the
towards your
salary and then the
It's
specialty
earned
pay
income,
category.
so it's taxable income. It's
Right.
not like
If I went back and said, I
a
can
reimbursement.
find the money, they would have.
Okay. I guess that would, my question, I don't know if that's something
I
internally.
like what you're saying. So if we found the money somewhere
pay
else,
some of these specialties, because we haven't, Andy, we haven't really dove into that too much. It was mostly for the
That's what I would have thought,
salaries.
yeah.
We talked about it, but just, different ways to get some money.
Right.
To some people that are doing extra, where they have to be specially trained in something. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
so if we could find the money, we weren't thinking that way, but when would we present that to you?
Well,
I would-
before final
Yeah,
adoption.
so if you're saying that we could scratch out $73,000 right now out of the general fund and come back with a proposal.
Yeah, as long as you give it to me somewhere else, you know.
Well, we still got
Out of one of the other
to,
funds.
I know.
we still got to talk about these green ones too. There's 4 green ones on the sheriff that we'd probably want to bring up now, right?
Well, I mean, bring them up. I mean, we're right in the middle of discussion.
I don't know, I'm just asking. That's
No, bring 'em
my,
up. Are they general fund ones?
well, they're on this, yeah.
Doesn't matter, bring them up.
You've got, and if I'm reading this correctly, like boards,
Yeah.
you guys are saying that they could give back 3,600? Am I reading that correctly?
I would say, maybe 50%. They've never spent more than $500, or the last 2 years, they've not spent more than $500 out of that $3,600 line item. So would I suggest cutting it all together? No. I think maybe a 50% target of that number might work.
So we have, Sheriff, we have boards,
So that's the money that is used to pay the merit board members when they come to a meeting. They don't have meetings every month. Not all of them take it, write down that they were there because they don't want to be compensated for it. So agreed, but then what happens if they do start writing it down?
you're coming back to see us. You guys always see us anyway.
It's really the general fund that hasn't been used for multiple years.
Agreed.
Where's that say?
And it's
$3,600.
I mean, come on,
So are you guys okay with cutting that in half?
$3,600.
Down here.
There's little numbers on here, Sheriff, yes. There's other one, the one below it, the physical and psychological services. There's printing and other office supplies, and then equipment other than vehicles, R&M. Those are the 4 green ones under you guys.
Now, I used some of that last month, right, Tony?
This was done as of just the other day, so.
So it's not big numbers, but they would help whittle down the raises and increases we're trying to accomplish.
That line item in 2022, equipment other than vehicles.
And even though these are small amounts, if you add them all up and eliminated them, we would cut $880,000 from the general fund.
Right.
Now, that's extreme, but
Part of the salary ordinance.
these are underutilized appropriations.
So is there, I mean, they're not large amounts. Is there anything you see there real fast that, so can you take out the $73,000?
I mean, are
Right
we
now.
$3,600?
Right, yep. So I have no problems cutting those in half.
All 4 of them?
Yeah.
So, okay.
The board's psychological services, half. Yeah.
Printing, other office supplies, and then the equipment other than
Okay,
vehicles,
so
R&M.
then can you cut all those in half? You're okay with that right now?
Yep.
And you guys know, obviously, we're here every month. You can
Yep.
find us.
Right?
So,
No.
we got you guys.
Okay.
Don't talk like that.
She's wagging her finger at me.
Calm down.
Live with your budget.
So, okay, so we took the $73,000 and you'll come back with a proposal, because I think everybody up here agrees with that idea, the specialty pay, so. And this is what we need, and I appreciate you guys leading us off, because this is, for us to really take care of our employees.
It's the first step.
It's sitting here and doing this, and we,
Well, let me go back up top and ask about the increase the part-time paper service from 15 to 20. Are there already people in that role, or are these people you couldn't hire because they?
No, yeah, they're retired policemen.
Okay. And you want to just bump it from 15, they're getting 15 an hour now?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't got a raise
20?
in
Over 5 years.
5 years, so.
Okay. I just didn't know if those were filled or not.
so where are we at then, if we take out the $73,000 and we cut all those in half that you highlighted? What's the bottom line right now?
Of the sheriff's general fund,
Almost.
Right there, 137. Should be that.
We're still an increase of $137,000?
it's an increase of $137,530.
So what's the contractual services for the new software vendor? It's just,
That's the thing for Motorola for the 911.
So that's when we went over to Motorola and they promised us something that
Right.
they didn't deliver on.
Now, are we still paying Motorola?
You have to give them a reminder, yeah.
Motorola
Any
said they couldn't do
recourse?
it, but when it all came down, they couldn't do it. And then they told us that we had to go out and find somebody to get it done.
They actually gave us the vendor to
Yeah.
do the reports that they couldn't do.
It's
they-
typical
But they said they could do
Motorola.
it.
Yes.
God, okay, so,
You can quote me
Well,
on it.
that would be a fair question, I think. They didn't deliver.
They didn't deliver.
Was this in
And
the
we-
contract?
We have talked- Right. We have talked to the commissioner's office about it, that we're paying for a service that has not begun. It has to be paid as part of the contract, is what we were.
But it has to be done. We have to do this.
The new go-live date is in December, I believe.
But they told you they could do it and can't do it, and gave you a name of a vendor who can do it.
And it's gonna cost us $45,000 every year.
They probably own stock in that vendor.
Probably own the
They
company.
probably started it.
The company, by Motorola.
And you have talked to the commissioners about that.
I have talked to the commissioner's administrative assistant about, we refused to pay the bill at the beginning of the year. We weren't gonna pay for something that it wasn't active, we weren't able to use it. And she said it was part of the contract, it had to be paid. Whether they were, because they are partially live, 911 uses the Motorola system.
Who told you that?
Melody.
You guys using Motorola? We haven't gone live yet, we're going live December 5th, which was supposed to be last year in December.
Bum, 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 lawsuit. I know Gary.
It's unbelievable that they would want to accept the
question?
public, knowing that
Certainly, Commissioner.
they have this contract
I mean,
and
that's,
reneging on it.
So this is something we need to talk to the commissioners about, they're up in front of us next week, but and this is the kind of stuff that you're being forced to pay something out of your budget that was supposed to be included in another contract.
yeah, based on a contract that the commissioners
He's
signed.
familiar with what's going on.
So I would say this, I would say pull that $45,000 out. And this is the kind of stuff, when we get into the commissioners' budgets, that,
Oh.
to me, maybe this is something we put in the commissioners' budget. You know, they're responsible
Okay.
for that contract with Motorola, you know? And
Yeah, we can't sign contracts. I like your idea. No.
you know, and we've got, and I know the auditor might not like, but we were just told the CCD fund, for example, is a fund that is now healthy. You know, I think they kicked vehicles out of there for you guys, and that was part of where you had to find funding for vehicles.
Right.
So while they're kicking stuff out, making that fund healthy, I mean, to me, here's a good example of maybe something we put back in,
Very good.
you know?
Good
So
thought.
You're at 150 now, probably.
if we pull that $45,000 out, but we have to note, and you guys,
Right.
that we've got to pay for this out of the, we've got to let the commissioners know that this is going to be funded out of another budget, not the general fund. So maybe CCD or something,
Will Joy remind us?
or lit.
We'll be here that night.
Yeah, so flash your gun in the back or something and wave it.
No, don't do that.
I did have one other question about are the radar replacements, is that replaced for every car? Or just doing, how many, is this 15,000?
We're gonna do 7 per year, and Major Gear advised that we would only need to do for a couple of years to get all of the vehicles up to date, and then that would be done for many more years. These
I
things
thought
are
that
good.
was already being done.
Last year, we did 7, and now we wanna get on track to do 7 every year.
Yeah,
Because we
okay.
have 60, how many cars?
Yeah,
Sounds like no speeding tickets for the next couple of years.
wait a minute. Maybe that should be talked to the commissioners about.
CCD stuff, I don't,
Yeah.
it's just, we got to make sure that they're getting it, right? And that if we
I
send,
agree.
if we send
I
them
agree.
back and next you know, they're fighting with the commissioners, that's fine. But where are we at right now with that number? Now that we pulled that 45,000, we're at 92,000?
Correct.
Is it still an increase? But we know the 68 is already, it's done and said,
Correct.
right?
Right,
That
right.
was the increase to the sheriff, which is by law, and that's a new officer we put in for you guys. So then really, we're looking at like 30,000, there's that 15,000, there's basically that 13,000 from 15 to $20 an hour, so we're whittling away a little bit, but
I like how this looks.
I don't know what you guys want to do with the rest,
I'd make a motion to approve it as is.
as is
Just to
with a
see.
$92,000 increase for now. You know, it's in the wrong direction, but we can't help.
Well, we don't have a choice, as the way that Kenny, you just explained it.
$60,000, I don't think we have a choice with,
Right.
right? The 69,
60.
the 69.
Right.
373.
But you're wanting to do all of it instead of cutting,
No, that's cutting the,
oh, okay.
I'd make a motion for the 92,490 increase. I mean, if it doesn't pass, I'm willing to discuss.
Motion on the floor to pass it
Second it.
at the $6,053,006. There's a motion and a second. Further discussion.
Yes.
So there's,
Okay.
we just have to make note, I mean, this is the first one we jumped into, we had to cut $500,000 and now we gotta cut $600,000. So just so we know.
That wasn't in the.
Bad,
What,
No, yeah,
right?
bad.
yeah.
But it's,
We're increasing it. Well, but we have to pay for a patrol, but we can't fire somebody.
You can't pay the sheriff less.
Right, we can't take
by
a
law.
position away.
just,
Are they gonna come back the commissioners?
we can have them back whenever we want. I mean, we got third
Want a
reading,
meeting tomorrow?
we got third reading. We just have to make a note. I mean, if there's other things you guys, I mean, there's that $15,000 for radars, but, it looks like they're getting themselves on a program, which is what we want people to do with, with capital, with assets, right? And the hourly, those are really the two increases that haven't already been approved. So, any further discussion? Can we get a roll call on the number?
Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
Councilmember Brickner.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
Councilmember Wagner.
Yes.
Councilmember Sims.
Yes.
And Councilmember Rivas.
Yes, so the number is 5-3. So, just so everybody knows, we went backwards on our goal, so.
Terrible.
But it's just something, I think we did a lot of work there, but it's, gotta keep in mind.
Well, and also, we are going to talk with the commissioners.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's other areas, we could find the radars or something, but as long as they're gonna stay committed to a cycle every year, right? So, all right, so there's your general fund, but hold tight, it may stay, it may not stay. So, but thank you for working with us through that. That was fun, that was one budget. What'd that take? All right, so you guys, we can, I know Harold's not here, he got stuck in a depth, but I'll read them off. I'd rather we still make a motion to approve. There's no changes in the one from accident all the way to Portage Resource Officer. So I think, Vicki, if you remember, I think if we just read them off, we can make a motion to approve all of them as is, right? There, there's no reason to open them all up.
Correct. The only question I had, and I didn't see any, there's none on here, right? None of these budgets will be looked at.
This is general fund.
This was just.
These are not. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to
All
clarify.
right, so you have the same accident report, 1101, extradition fund, 1155, firearms training, 1156, medical inmates, 1174, riverboat money, 1191, sex and violent offender, fee 1192, sheriff pension fund, 1193, vehicle inspection, 1208, county user fee sheriff, continuing education, 2504, county user fee sheriff, 2505, drug task force, 4010, sheriff donation, 4108, overweight vehicle sheriff, 4201, videotape fee, 4908, photo duplicates, 4910, Portage School Resource Officers, 4923. All those budgets I just said in front of you are the same as last year.
Move to approve.
Motion.
There's a motion and a second on the floor to approve those exactly as they are. Yes, is there something? Is that? Oh, you can have it if you want. Yeah, find other ways that you can cut out of the sheriff's budget. So, there's a motion and a second on the floor to pass all.
He's on a roll tonight.
To pass all these budgets exactly as they were in 2022. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Those are approved. So now we go to a change in the sheriff overtime fund. Let's pull
Why
it
is
up.
such a big increase?
Well, I've been working on making sure that none of this specialty overtime comes out of the general fund anymore.
I don't know.
That last week, we're trying to get all of those claims moved over, and so next year, we won't need that additional money out of the general fund in overtime. It'll be used to this.
Wait, did we miss a cut somewhere then?
No,
It's on
it doesn't show as a cut
Have you
yet,
found it?
Yeah, it's in.
but that money is
Okay.
gonna go back into the general fund at the end of the year this year. Right? Once those
Look at Vicky's eyes.
claims are moved.
Oh, yes, to reimburse the.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. The overtime claims out of the general fund will be moved into this fund, and you guys will get all that money back.
How much is
But
that?
you're,
Revenue.
but also the revenue, yes, we're waiting for the revenue to build up.
We're just
right?
carving.
So is it a wash or is it 79,000?
It's a wash, yeah.
So it's not a 79,000 increase on this? Are you gonna put it towards the numbers, Vicki? If she adds in the numbers, it's part of that number.
Well, this was designed for those, to set up that special fund when we get that reimbursement from the feds, rather than constantly coming back to you for those additional appropriations.
Oh,
And so this pays directly that.
Oh, it won't be in the general fund
It's
anyway.
not built up yet.
Yeah.
Correct, because it's a
It's got quite a bit of money in there now, $40,000, I think. So I just sent that email, like, I just sent it the other day.
Is this HIDA money?
Some of it is HIDA, yeah. Most of it, yes.
So
special services.
So,
we're increasing it, but it's gonna come back.
right, right. And it's its own self-funded fund.
Right.
I understand why you're doing this, but this is the paid out for special services? Didn't we just, what? You know what I'm wanting to say?
Yeah. So specialty is like SWAT and the CSI and accident. Special
What's the difference?
services, this is our HIDA guys.
It's
that-
funded by the feds.
Right. We are
Travel.
reimbursed
So
for
we're paying
all of
overtime to our
this.
guys, and the money from the feds aren't coming as quick. So we're paying them up front, waiting for money.
Right, I understand that, so you don't have to come back month after month.
That's a
Right.
whole
But those
different.
specialty ones aren't part of that 73,000.
But this 79,000 it's right
Right,
now,
it's fine.
it's being
It's-
counted
yeah.
against what we're,
I,
Whoa, it is? It's gonna get added into your number for the general fund?
No.
No?
It's its own fund.
oh, that's right, it's not, you're right, you're 100% right. Well, why, okay,
Move to approve.
gotcha. Now that it's clear as mud to everybody, no, I understand. Motion on the floor to approve the overtime fund, second. Any further discussion? All in favor of sheriff overtime fund at the $144,000 number, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And Mr. President, if I could ask, you went a little too fast on that first
Sorry.
big approval. And this is not an increase, but more of just a question. So on 4923, which is the Portage School Resource Officers, and I guess I'm just a little curious about that arrangement, how that works, and why the county pays for that.
right,
We are completely reimbursed, 100%.
well then,
Portage
Dollar for
pays
dollar.
for it, dollar for dollar.
Okay, perfect. That's all I,
Yep.
the city or the schools?
Portage
The
Township
school,
School.
the schools.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, so the DEA proceeds grant, 8118, the number is the same.
Make a motion to approve.
second,
There's a motion and a second on the floor to approve it is the same number as last year, which is, looks like $110,000. Is that right? That's the one I'm reading? $125,000. Motion and a second on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Opposed, same sign. Jail, there's a difference.
Gail?
Yes.
He would like to cut the $6,000 increase for the per diem, and we'll take that out of one of our funds, out of inmate processing.
sure, in the jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Cut entirely.
Cut it entirely from the general fund.
So the $6,000 per diem,
Yep.
Good, very good.
you're gonna take out of inmate processing, is that what you said?
Where's the jail?
All right, so looks like there's an increase in the hourly of $31,200 to cover employees filling in for shifts.
This is another thing that we approved throughout the year this year. We got a part-time employee to help with the jail. So it should show as an additional throughout the year for 2022.
What we do all year has consequences.
Is that an additional?
Was during the year. That was growing.
What's the next $3,500 increase in, looks like training and education, transfer from physical
Right.
and psychology? What other increases we've got? There's looks like a reduction of $20,000. Well, that's community corrections, that's getting up, sorry. So,
use all that?
ahead of myself. So the jail general fund, so where's the increase now at? 20,
Wait, I'm sorry.
27,700? So that's what we're looking at, to the general fund again. So, again, we already approved the 31,200. So, the increases the only increases that we've got left then are, what, the $3,500?
Well, then it washes away.
Right.
So move to approve.
I'll second.
Because they took the 6,000, so. Motion and a second for the jail general fund at $3,911,006, no, $4 million.
I
Sorry.
don't see any green ones on here, so you're clear.
$4,185,342. Thank you. Motion, I think, was there a second?
Yeah.
For discussion?
Yep.
Whoever's working the cursor, just keep helping me out.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor of the jail general fund at $4,185,342, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. What's that running tally looking like? All right, so
Horrible.
jail's done. Looks like county corrections is the same number. County corrections, 1122.
Came down.
It went down, yeah.
Now,
Down
there's a
20,000.
reduction?
Yeah.
So it looks like
Motion to approve.
the number is $129,000. Motion is second on the floor to approve the reduction
Before they change their mind.
of county corrections. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Public safety data tech. Where's that at?
The big increase at the bottom.
There's a big increase of, looks like
That's a big number.
$25,000 to dues and subscriptions.
That is part of the LPR cameras that the sheriff actually is very close to getting a grant approved for. Totally comfortable cutting that.
Cutting it?
Yep.
Is this purchasing more LPR or
This
upkeep
is
of what we
the-
have?
Yep.
Is that an annual
Yes, sir.
fee? So $250,000 each and every year?
Voted for that one.
And they will cut
Refresh my memory, or maybe others, where do we stand with that program? It seemed like it started out as a small program and in a couple of select locations, then all of a sudden,
It's every street, everywhere.
They are
started out with
everywhere.
one company, and it was time consuming to work with a different company that was cheaper, with a monthly fee onto it, and we got, overall there's 70 cameras, so at every intersection there's 4 cameras. So there's 70 throughout the entire county.
50 are in Portage.
All on county line.
so
But
what'd you say, 70 cameras? And so divided by 4, that's how many intersections are covered?
It's about 10,000 an intersection.
And is that money, was the arrangement to pay money up front for those, or is that why it's such a hefty annual cost?
Well, we knew that's what was, we had an option if, what we wanted to do is create a virtual wall, basically, around our county. And that's what we've done, and the results, I'm going to answer your question, but the results have been, if looking at our PowerPoint, have been more than what we expected. There's been a lot of arrests that never would have been made, of felons from outside our county. And I think that's one thing that you need to understand is the people that we're arresting, almost all of them are not from Porter County. They're from as far as Ohio, Just recently, we had a murder suspect out of Ohio, got involved in a shooting in Fort Wayne, that they put the plate in there, and then they were trying to get back to Chicago, but we don't know what they were gonna do in the meantime, before they got to Chicago. And we, because of their license plate readers, identified them, and in a short period of time, we stopped them.
Yeah, no,
After
and you don't have to
After pursuit.
sell me on the program. I
just
appreciate
saying
it and
it's-
support it.
the-
I'm more just concerned about the.
Money?
The costs, buy it, lease it, maintain it.
We
and are we
lease
gonna-
it. They maintain
So that's
it.
is that the $220,000 of the annual lease?
Right.
And there's no additional charges associated with them?
No.
And are we, of the mindset, are we going to add to that program? Or is this where the program is going to be?
I think that's a great question. I think what you're going to see, I think the city of Valpo, I think will, because what we did was we circled Valpo. I've heard that Valpo turned it down. I don't know why, but now I've heard that they're thinking, well, maybe you know, that they're considering putting in the budget for next year to put some, so I think it's going to expand. Valpo, Chesterton is going to definitely do it. They're putting them up at Indian Boundary, up on 49. And Porter's going to put some up. Portage, we know, is budget restrained, but they are looking at getting money from somewhere, and they're going to, so it's going to expand.
So, but as far as the county's concerned, the county's
We're
put
not
in the
thinking about-
ones,
We're not thinking about expanding.
and however, other municipalities,
Right. It'll just add to what we have.
Do the other departments have access?
Yes.
To this right now? So even Valpo?
Even Valpo doesn't have it. They have, the very first day that Valpo asked us for access, we of course gave it to them, and I think the very first day they made an arrest. So, I mean, like you said, I'm not trying to convince you. It's one of the best things we ever did to keep this county safe.
And I agree, but why would the cities and towns want to get them if the counties already have
Well,
the service?
they've got different locations. I think Portage wants them, a couple around the high school. There's some locations that.
Okay.
You know, what we did is we created a wall around the county, and now somebody, Porter might want different locations. Valpo might want them around some roundabouts. I don't know, I mean, and I'm being serious. I mean, I think, because they know that's where their accidents are, and things happen around them, so it makes sense.
so none of them are located within another municipal boundary, is that fair?
Oh, yeah, Portage is,
yeah.
we've got them all over Portage. I mean, we have them on the county line, but we have them inside Portage too. And they knew it when we have communicated with this, with the chief and the mayor.
Portage has, it's on and off, 80-94, 80-90, 12-20.
Little Road, it's Willow Creek.
Yeah.
That's 6.
Well, HIDA just approved, they've got a lot of money in HIDA. They're putting them up now on the expressway. I don't think it's a secret. They're gonna have them on the 90, on the toll road and 94 and 65 and, but I think we took that money originally from our seizure money, and that was our plan. And then when we get the Fed money, that'll put us up to 2024. So it gives us plenty enough time to work, wherever the sheriff is, to work on getting that money to keep that program going.
Because when you originally presented it, I don't remember this large number, so this is a change from earlier this year, correct?
Well, the first number, you guys turned it down, if you remember.
Right, I
at
did.
the Opera House.
And then I came
I
back.
don't know if you were there. but-
I voted no, yeah.
Yeah, no, you voted no.
And I probably don't know if that number stays the same. But it wasn't that large, so that was the change because we went to renting them now or leasing them?
Went to leasing.
Well, we expanded the program, we saw how effective it was.
So you guys can just expand this program without coming to us asking for approval of it, which makes sense, but then you come to us and ask for the money, right?
Well, that's what they're doing right now. They're in front of us, so.
I'm sorry?
The money is in safety data, it's a non-reverting.
Okay.
So it
Tell-
doesn't touch the, it doesn't
I'll just ask, okay, thank you.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the grant, because it sounds like we're pretty confident that grant money's coming in.
Right, I was looking for an email here, that it went through the committee out of the House, and they fully expect it to go through and be passed by the Senate, so.
And how much approximately is that? or-
Well, it included computers for all our guys, and the 225,000. So
That's
it's
great.
I think
400,000.
400,000.
410.
So is it likely to say that, that 200,000 that you've added here is not going to be,
You said take it out.
Strike it.
We can take it out, so
Take
take
it
that
out.
two
When we
hundred
did this a
twenty-five
month
thousand.
ago, we still didn't
Gotcha.
know that it
Which
was.
is- which is good, and-
So I was trying to.
okay. gotcha.
Like she said, it's a non-reverting fund. This is revenue that is collected inside the jail that, so.
Move to approve?
So what is the number? The number's $368,848, the same as last year. Is a motion on the floor.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor for public safety tech. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. So we have inmate processing fee.
Same.
Inmate processing fee, that is it the same?
No, it's down, right?
Come on down.
Action down at $90,391.
This is where we want to add that $6,000.
So can we put that in there? So, all right, so inmate,
Well, I don't know what line item you want to, we had it under per diem. 12400.
The
That's
4911?
a specialty pay for the jail
Okay.
officers.
they can create it.
How much was it, 6,000?
Still very acceptable if they add the 6.
Yeah. And we'll be adding, increasing the FICA and perf later.
Okay.
We'll just change that.
All right, so inmate, what's the number, inmate processing fee? There's my cursor, $96,391.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor. Discussion? We okay? Sheriff, everything good? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Can I clarify, your motion was contingent upon the changes to FICA and perf, which we'll calculate?
Yes.
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 You got it?
In addition to that.
Okay, we got
for
it
the
already.
6,000.
Well, you'll have to put that in the line items. We'll just do it later. It'll get crazy now.
All right, the SCAP grant, looks like it's down also.
There's only $3,900 in that fund, so.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor to approve at $3,900. Discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Addiction response grant, 8116.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
12,000, same. Motion is second on the floor. Discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So, Joy, all these in black that we approved earlier, there was no reductions in all those? They were exactly the same? Put you on the spot there.
Well, there might be reductions.
Uh-oh. Could you glance through it?
go up, so that's all I did.
Can you glance through it real fast as we continue on to make certain none of them went down? Thank you. Sheriff Adult Community Corrections, 9162. It's like there's an increase of $13,218. Am I correct? Am I in the right spot?
That's what I say.
It's quiet.
Do you guys know why there's an increase, or can you kind of
Confused?
quickly explain it?
No, I'm looking at the totals here. It's 253. Was it something additional we got during the year? I didn't write it down.
What should we go on? What's going on?
This is the grant that
Looks like there's an increase in medical life
Yeah.
insurance, 21,000.
Didn't we ask?
There's a little decrease and then an increase.
Salary?
we did, yes, and the grant approved the increase in the salary.
Contractual services down, so we got it. Everybody good?
Yes.
Community corrections increasing $13,218. It's not
They're
general
increasing
fund.
caseworkers.
I'll move to approve.
Motion on the floor to approve. Second, discussion.
You're increasing those full-time caseworkers?
Yes, they are.
How many do you have now?
2.
And what are you increasing it to?
No, what we had to do was pick up some of their insurance, the benefits were not fully covered.
Oh,
This is in the grant. The
Okay,
grant is
that's
picking up
fine.
some of the benefits.
got it.
All right, so there's a motion and a second on the floor, a little discussion to approve at $266,750, $715. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Right. Sheriff, adult probation, community corrections pretrial, second went down.
Yep. Motion to approve.
$14,580 a motion.
Second.
And a second on the floor to approve at $55,922.
I got lots of gaming, I'm like an old lady.
Discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, sheriff garage. Guess we should have ran through them all a little bit. You working with me, Joy?
10,000? I mean,
All right, so
what's the second one?
Those are both increases in
So general fund, sheriff's garage, $20,000 increase, looks like there's $10,000 increase in vendor pricing, both of them are increasing vendor pricing in the tires, tubes, et cetera, and auto, truck, and equipment supplies.
Motion to approve.
Oh, there's a motion on the floor to increase the general fund by $20,000.
Well,
I'm not seconding
let's say,
that.
let's put it this way.
I second, I'm
Has
joking.
the cost of tires and what else are they wanting?
Tubes went up.
What's the vendor? What's the increases?
everything.
Truck
Everything,
supplies.
she said.
Oil filters, oil, brake pads.
Mr. President, I did second, I don't know if.
There's a motion, there's a second on the floor, okay?
Kind of a general question, maybe for an update. In terms of the sheriff's garage, we've got two mechanics, am I right on that? And I'm curious to know how that does play into or doesn't play into other county vehicles in terms of maintenance, and who takes care of all the other county vehicles, and do they use
We do.
all county vehicles?
We don't pay for their parts. Their parts, the commissioners pay for, but our guys do the work.
On all the county, do they go to other outside vendors or service places, or is it everything funneled through the sheriff's garage?
Like transmissions, we do.
They do the majority of the work. If there's something that's out of, if a water pump needs to be replaced, it would go to the dealer or
So a stormwater vehicle, if something goes wrong, they bring it down the sheriff's garage.
EMS, EMA.
How about a plow?
highway.
No.
Highway.
Highways or mechanics.
We don't do the highway.
What are you thinking, Mike?
No, I'm just curious to know, in terms of,
I know your mind's spinning there, yeah?
no, in terms of if there's an opportunity to funnel even more, it sounds like you do the lion's share of the work. I don't know what the highway department does, if that's the same or different, better or worse, I have no idea. But anytime you can pool the resources and the volume of tires and the volume of brakes and whatever you're buying, and that helps streamline the entire operation, makes it more efficient. It helps improve, could be the efficiency of whoever the mechanics are, and could ultimately, pay them maybe an even more appropriate wage based on their experience and so forth. So I'm just curious, and it's more of a general question, just to wonder how the rest of the county does it. We got a lot of vehicles throughout the county, and are we maintaining them and servicing them in the most cost-effective, efficient way? That's just a general question.
I was just talking to the chief.
There's no more reduction.
Thank you. Next year.
I mean, it's a great question, Mike. It goes to the whole,
Facilities team, they come through
Why
the
they can't buy
garage
buildings.
and,
Every car that we.
What we could do is cut this, and then if we need it, we come back next year.
Cut them completely or just half them or?
Cut
I'll
the
rescind mine.
additionals.
I mean,
Yeah,
not,
the 20,000.
additionals.
Yeah, that's what I got. I wasn't asking you to cut the budget yet.
so there's a motion and a second on the floor. Do you guys want to,
I would adjust.
I'll rescind mine.
or just amend it? Okay, well, they're both rescinded. All right, is there another motion on the
Make a
floor?
motion to approve at no increase.
So there's a motion on the floor to keep it at, is that right? The,
199.
Second.
wait, where am I at?
this one took another 20,000.
Oh, my book says 199,000. This microphone is super loud.
Taking out the increases, the $20,000 increases.
$20,000 from sheriff's garage.
10 apiece, yes, correct. All right. So was there a motion at the 199,000 in a second?
Yeah.
Motion and a second, further discussion?
What's this?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Oh, we
They
already passed
approved
that.
it earlier in the year.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
They've got to-
that's easy, you're over there working on other vehicles in the county, you need an additional, then, I mean, that's a perfect general fund request later on. So,
They come back in April, you can blame me.
what's that? Oh,
Wait, is this the sheriff's last budget request for the evening? Missing.
Thank you
This is
for
his-
helping, being
yeah,
cooperative.
yeah, you guys are doing great.
You'll still come back and beat us up next year, right?
Federal DOC prisoners, 1217. Is that right? 12? All right. So there's an increase of $14,580.
We just cut that additional 20 we asked for in motor vehicles. Because we're going to have our auction money.
So leave that at the 400?
Now, that auction money, though, comes into the general fund as general revenue.
It goes for the vehicles, I think.
We've always used
It
it.
usually goes to 1138, because that's.
Oh,
what
it
they
does go
were-
1138.
That's what it was originally purchased from.
It's just
Okay.
turned into a savings.
I stand
So back
corrected.
where it was
Okay.
purchased from,
That's right.
Yes. Now, will that change? Because when we get to a point where they've been coming out of this money?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have to keep track of that. Oh, it's on our capital asset form. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd move to approve at the $1,221,737, which is a negative of $5,420.
Ha
Whoa, all right, motion, and was there a second on the floor?
second.
Motion and second on the floor at the $1,221,737. Further discussion? I'm not even, one more. That was the federal, yeah. Hold on, is that right? Was the number right? Where's my cursor? All right, further discussion?
Where's my cursor?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Thank you. That it?
That should be it.
I've got two that we didn't go over.
What's that?
What didn't we do?
Fund 4925, Sheriff Highway interdiction.
Put it on the screen.
And 8117, equitable sharing. I put it in as a zero, so I guess it doesn't. But 4925. Oh, same thing. You ladies are on it.
What? They're both zeros?
Yes. How about the foundation budget? That's on a different day?
Yes, that's on, that's the last day.
All right.
Thank you very much, thank you.
You're getting pretty comfortable in that seat.
Big shoes to fill.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you on third reading for sure.
First class
Final
report,
reading.
65.
Thank you.
You guys are 61, almost 62. Okay, thanks.
Where are you getting those figures?
Corner.
Did you get their salary ordinance, or, I'm just curious? I get
Corner general fund.
sometimes,
There's an increase of $68,650. Is this stuff that we already approved this year? Is that, or is this an additional increases? What's the $45,000 for autopsy? Is this stuff that was already approved throughout the year that we're increasing, or is this even more
No,
increasing?
For next
this is
year.
just for next year. Yeah,
So this is an addition?
so, yeah.
So consultants, we're going up to $250,000, there's a $45,000 increase.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
Correct. Hoping that I wouldn't have to come back and ask for a lot of money like I had to at the, last time I was in front of you.
Vehicles, repairs and maintenance, new line for refrigerator trailers maintenance, $3,000 or $650. For copier, printer, fax machine fees, there's $20,000 new line for hospital fees, separated from consultants. So there's $68,650 here in the general fund for the coroner.
Cindy, who does your vehicle maintenance?
The sheriff's garage does,
They do it?
yeah.
So the 3,000,
The-
you pay them?
No. I don't have to have this, I just thought it would be a good idea because we just recently had one of our refrigeration units go out in one of the trailers. So I was just thinking I have the 3 trailers, so I don't
Do they repair those too?
know if they
The-
can repair those units.
Well, you can always come to us though if you need money.
Okay,
Have we used the refrigerated trailers
yeah, I use them at the hospital, the one,
on a regular basis, or?
it's available, yeah.
So we could cut that then?
Yeah, I think so,
All right, cut the $3,000 out.
because I do have that opioid grant that maybe I can pull, if I do need, if the garage can't fix it, maybe I can pull that money out of there.
So the $45,000, going back to the $45,000 odds, so that is because you're anticipating the increase in the contract again? And when would that be up?
January.
Would be in
We'll
January?
negotiate it again, and then it's done in June of next year. So the whole contract will have to be negotiated.
And that's, again,
Again.
that's based just upon the amount that we're doing.
Yeah, I'm averaging 8 autopsies a month now.
But this $45,000, are you saying you would need that in January, or possibly you're asking for the increase because of the renegotiation in June?
At this point, I'm not anticipating it to go down. It's probably gonna increase, so I just
So instead of,
tried to average everything out to come up with a number that, I wouldn't have to come up to you guys and ask for $69,000.
wrestle over the increase again?
Yeah.
Not as fun every time you come up here
No,
and
it's
do this
not.
exercise.
Vicki, can you pull that account up,
So,
where we're at today with that, please?
So consultants, there we are. But we don't have stuff this much.
So far, year-to-date, it's $228,000. So it's likely to be above the 250 by the end of the year, or close, or,
right now, I have exactly what I need to pay out through the year. We're good. Next year, I don't know.
I guess my point is that
can't-
250 seems like a pretty accurate estimate of what you're
I
gonna have.
tried to come up with something, and like I said, I can't foresee what's gonna happen, but
So,
by averaging everything out,
New line item.
well, keeping that up, looking at that, the unexpended balances right now, I mean, there's $54,000 in there, but you think that you'll spend that $54,000?
for the rest of the year, yeah, that's the amount that you approved.
So I'm looking at hourly, there's 21,000 unexpended, I'm looking at uniforms and clothing. So here's some unexpended. Is there anything on that sheet, Andy?
I don't
On the
know, I
sheet?
forgot about the sheet.
There's a few of them.
There you go.
Toxology's 40,000.
Okay. So so let's.
Do you want to see this?
Yeah, can I see that?
I need it back, it's my only copy. But you can have it for this while you're up there. Thank
If
you.
we look at, all right, so if we do what we just did with the sheriff, and these are things that are historically, what are we going back? 2 years?
2 years,
2
you
years.
haven't spent more than 30 grand.
So you haven't spent more than 30 grand, so if we take that down to 30,000,
Are we on the toxicology line?
yes.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, so we're gonna take that down to 30,000. Then there's travel, what's that? Is that not used?
That is when we have new deputies that have to go to Indianapolis for training.
Don't we have that training fund? Could that be used?
No,
on-
that's only
No,
for
certain-
specific.
Certain elected,
Yeah.
yeah, certain, okay. What about these others? Is there anything else that we could cut in these?
Furniture fixtures is one, was another area that has not typically been used.
Which one?
The last one on the.
Furniture and fixtures, can we cut that in half? I know it's nickel and diamond, but, I
Every
mean,
bit
ultimately,
helps.
we gotta get
Yeah,
down.
we could, because we just acquired all kinds of file cabinets
Okay,
that weren't being used.
All right,
thank you.
So we don't use, yeah, that could go in half.
It's good.
anything else in there? I mean, there's small amounts,
Yeah, probably not worth it.
Well,
probably not worth it, okay?
I'm looking about, can you talk a little bit about the new item for hospital?
I wanted to split that for you guys because it's always been paid out of the consultation line, and I think that's confusing. Because if I need to come up to you guys for extra money for autopsies, then that's the autopsy line. And the the hospital fees, the $225 per autopsy we're required to pay each time. The other fees for the x-rays, the radiology, or the lab tests, those are only if I need to order those. Those aren't done every single time we do an autopsy.
So you're saying that you could take that out? Or you need that?
Well, I
I think leave it.
I think we need that.
Sure, yeah.
It's
But where is
just,
it deducted from? Because if you're adding it from there, shouldn't it be deducted from the
well, it's been taken out of the consultation line.
It is,
So the
okay.
autopsy and the hospital fees are all taken out of the same line. So I thought this would be better understanding for you guys if I had to come up and ask for the extra money on either one.
But shouldn't,
You're separating those two expenses,
Yeah,
so trying to keep it
Yeah.
simpler.
right, but where did you deduct it from consults? I see it increasing 45,000. Wouldn't it only be 25,000 if you're moving it just another line item?
well,
She's saying that, I believe, she's saying that the consultants plus the hospital fee is what she's gonna need for that for 2023, right? And
right.
Mm-hmm.
it was all lumped together before, now she's saying it's, she wants to separate.
So if it was just the way it normally would have been, that she would be asking for a $65,000 increase in consultants?
Yeah.
Okay, then I am understanding, thank you.
Can we go back to the previous, what she's expended this year, her budget? So why is there so much left in hourly? I mean, I guess it's not so much. I mean, it's 20 per,
So 3 months left.
yeah. So I'll let you.
Yeah, and that also has to cover those events, those call-out events.
Yeah, that's right.
Dues and subscription, we're not touching that?
That,
Has that been historically used?
have we used, Tony, have we used that?
Yeah, not yet this year.
Not yet this year, but historically you pay out the full amount, so I'm assuming that you probably have a subscription of some sort or dues that you pay at the end of the year, because every year you've spent 100% of that money.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. All right, I'm just,
So between consultants and
coming through a little.
The hospital fee now, the other services, it's an increase of 41,000 versus what we paid this year, so you're expecting to pay out more, of that much more? 41,000?
We had enough, this is why it's confusing. We had enough before I came in front of you to ask for the additional money for the autopsy fees. We had enough still in that line to cover an average of how many autopsies we would have to pay for the hospital fees. So that, yeah.
Well, see, but what I was looking at is you got consultants for this year would be $228,000 approximately. Next year, you're looking for consultants of $250 plus the $20,000, so it'll be $270. So it's an increase of what we're paying out this year to next year of almost $42,000. You're looking at that much of an increase for next year? Unless I'm doing my numbers wrong or not understanding it correctly.
How I figured this out is I averaged how many autopsies we did do a year since 2019, and it's 83 and a half autopsies per year. Multiplied that by 225, and then I added an extra $1,250 just to even it out to $20,000, because I don't know when I have to do a CT scan or an X-ray or something like that. So that should cover the whole year.
But you see what I'm saying? That's a large increase, right? $41,000 or $42,000 for a year? For doing the same job potentially as this year?
I guess I don't understand what you're saying.
You said that
Sorry.
consultants consultants this year has $228,000 in it. Next year, you're asking for $250, and that number, comparing it to this year, would also have the $20,000. So that's $270,000 total versus what we're spending this year of $228,000. Well, that's where I came up with the $42,000.
Oh, I
It just seems like a very large
I was
increase.
just separating it.
Right, that has nothing to do with it. I get all that, and that makes sense, but
Yeah.
to compare apples to apples, we have to put it back together for this year, in my mind. Because in this year's budget, consultants had the other services in it. So comparing that, that's $270,000 versus $228,000 this year. It just seems like you're asking for a big increase that maybe is not needed. I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
I think that so it's gonna end up being 280,000, right?
Mhm.
Is that what I'm,
That's what I'm seeing.
280,000 with the
270.
additional we did? On that, and then, what do you, so I mean, she's,
Oh, I'm not adding the unexpended balance, and that's why, okay. I'm on the same page now.
Oh,
Now, I would say my numbers wrong, that's, okay, thank you.
oh, that's okay.
Overall, that budget's actually, for 2023, is lower than what she currently has.
Understood, thank you.
You know, and Cindy, you mentioned that the contract, it's due, it's revised in January, but changes in June again?
It'll be, it'll be revised in January, and then the way we set it up is, hopefully I'll be the one putting it together again, but whoever does, it gives them the 6 months from January to June to get everything in order.
What I'd like to suggest for your benefit and also ours is to offer up, and I'd be happy to do it, and anybody else that wants to jump in, is when you're in that negotiation process, or when that contract's up for renewal and discussion and meetings and so forth, I think it'd be helpful to have some input from, and understanding and appreciating that the commissioners sign it. But because it's been such a topic of discussion, I think it'd be good to get involved with it and find out a little bit more about
Sure.
what that contract looks like and who it goes to, and just to feel a
so
little
can
bit
you,
more comfortable with it.
can you contact us? Can you contact Mike and our bulldog, Sylvia, right here, who was a nurse, understands the healthcare industry a little bit?
Yeah, and would you want my pathologist?
No.
Me too?
Well, is
No?
that,
You would.
That's
wouldn't
the
you?
only
With?
person, that's who I did it, it's just between him and I.
yeah, I'd just like to see whatever his proposal is, and then we can talk about it and figure out if we can provide some insight or direction on, how we want to approach it.
And this is for January, or
If-
when the whole thing is up
Well,
and,
whatever's happening in I'd like to know sooner rather than later, just, And
Okay.
it's truly in an effort to better educate us and also to help you in that
Okay.
process.
So could you let,
Have you thought at all about, getting a bid on this?
I'm working on it,
Good.
but we're going to have to go out, he works Porter County, Lake County, and LaPorte County. There is a forensic pathologist in Fort Wayne.
Well,
They're not,
Does it have to be a forensic
that's
pathologist,
what
or could it just be a
I'm wondering.
pathologist?
the pathologists at the hospital do not do autopsies anymore, just he does. And a lot of times we have to have a forensic pathologist.
aren't they with, like, murder or homicides or for forensic? And how many murders or homicides did we have last year?
I don't know off the top
Well,
of my head.
I guess
Sorry.
I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
it wasn't really
But
that many.
Unless you live in Porter.
so I heard a question, I mean, do you need that forensic pathologist?
Right,
Again, it's-
pathologist.
Well, we would occasionally, yeah.
But
Sometimes
then
we
you bring them in
would.
as a consultant if I know that would be a new line item in that, but would you be saving money by just having a pathologist?
We would still have to travel to get one. I don't know how to, I don't know how to explain this.
Okay.
But
So,
he's the only one that does the autopsies
so
at
in this whole
Northwest
area,
Health.
he's the only one that does the autopsies?
Well,
In
At-
this
at
whole
the hospital
general
that-
area?
You're
at Northwest Health in Porter County, he's the only one that does the autopsies.
Okay.
The other pathologists do not.
Well, maybe you would want
We
someone
need
else.
some new hospitals in the county.
I mean,
I know it's-
The whole health system may have changed. I don't know.
So, Madam Auditor, you took your glasses off and you're leaning in.
No.
No, you lean back now?
Okay.
And back,
Anything?
Sylvia, back when you were talking about before, when there were other corners that, back then we
That
didn't,
no longer exists?
no, it does, but we never had a forensic pathologist in Porter County.
And I understand.
That's why they were going to, I think St. Joe was another county that they took.
Well, they were going to Michigan
Bodies,
City,
too.
from what I understand.
I think it was Dr. Prallo. He's in Michigan now,
Well,
yeah.
he's probably retired. Fishing.
No, he's still working, actually.
Bass fishing.
Okay. Any further discussion? It's always enjoyable with our coroner.
So we're at the 55.
Where are we at?
650.
There's my cursor, at 48, $488,005. Is that right?
Oh, thank you very
Which is an
much.
increase of
I'm glad you remembered.
$55,010.
400.
So another hit to the general. So was there a motion? I don't remember.
I'll make the motion.
Is a motion?
Second.
Motion is second on the floor for $488,005. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Right, we got a couple no's. So, all right, motion passes, 5-2. All right, so,
Thank you.
thank you. Where are we at? All right.
Have a good night, sir.
Veteran Services, General Fund. Where are we at?
Mr. President, they do have a green one on here.
Huh?
It's a small green one, but it's a green one.
Oh, I'm like, what are you talking about?
You told me that was my job. I'm doing my
That's why
job.
you do have a responsibility over there. It is, so,
Good evening. My name's Ed. I'm the new Veteran Service Director. I just started here 2 weeks ago. I didn't do this budget, but after reading it, I'm here to argue for it because I think there's a lot of good points in here.
are you sure you want to argue for it tonight, Ed?
I will.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So, 2 weeks into the job, huh?
Yes, sir.
This is where you landed.
I was retired for a month and a half, and my wife said, "You got to get out of the house."
Retired?
I'm a retired police officer.
You look young.
I'm 51.
Young. 51. Here you are. And you came from where?
Los Angeles, sir.
to Northwest Indiana.
My wife's from here. I met her in the Army overseas while serving there with her. So just the short version. So her family is from here. She grew up in Valparaiso.
Well, God bless you.
Welcome. You think the Dodgers are going to win the World Series?
They tend to mess that up at the last minute, so I'm going to bet
But
against it.
they're kind of good right now.
I know, may lose money on that one. I remember my dad used to take me there all the time for bat day and bobble day, and because people are so violent, they don't give any of that stuff anymore, but it was a lot of fun to watch the Dodgers all those years.
Can't put a little wooden bat in a bunch of people's hands.
You'd be surprised, they beat each other pretty good with those things, so they don't exist anymore.
All right. Well, hey, just chit-chatting a little bit, man. Nice, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So, all right, what do we got in front of us then? Veteran Services. So it looks like there's a change. Is that an increase of $34,732? That's hourly. An increase of $33,176. And a couple, looks like a couple other increases. Supplies, $500. Looks like there's an increase in training and education, $830. A decrease, 240 maintenance agreements. An increase, software rental fees, $500. Decrease.
Wait, the training? Oh, wait, no.
So the
Am I right?
IDVA.
Training and education is one of the green ones.
Okay, so, all right. What would you say,
I think there was a slight increase in some of the fees for IDVA. Just like everything else, everything's going up.
Tell us a little bit about the hourly increase, because that's the
So
lion's share of
the study from 2021 was, it said that the salaries were a little bit behind, and so there was a request by my predecessor for a 5.9% COLA raise for this year, and he didn't mention last year, because I guess there wasn't one, from what I understand. The study that you guys commissioned from GDX showed that when you increased when you increased to two full-time positions, there was an increase, and Mr. Sims, I don't have the number before, I know you'd like that, but it was a $12 million increase of federal funds that were brought into Porter County. So I get the distinction of saying that I'm one of the directors that actually brings money to the county. Not to mention now with the VA allowing medical billables to be local rather than veterans having to travel to places like Chicago, which some of them just can't do. That brought in $4.8 million in that time period that they studied. And I'm sorry, sir, I don't have the original numbers with me because I didn't actually write it, but that's what's in there.
The study you're referring to
The
is,
GDX one,
which is the one that,
you guys paid for.
that wasn't in 2021, though.
I have 2021 on here, so if that's incorrect, I apologize.
And GDX, is that the firm that's not the one we,
It might not be the same firm, but maybe it's the numbers that they pulled from for the firm, and then Jeff, who was the director before, put that in here.
I'm confused on which study we're talking about. It's not a wage study, is it?
It might be from consensus, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure how he pulled this number, but this is what I have here to work with.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's correct.
I do remember that last year there was a personnel, like an hourly increase.
That was for the
request.
5.9 COLA that he requested.
Yeah, that was during budgets last year.
The hard fact is, there's about 11,000 veterans right now in Porter County, and out of that, less than 17% are receiving benefits, so that's a hard fact. If we were to get just a slight, or get the rest of them to get benefits, that's another $40 million we could bring in the county that they would spend here. And then that's not even counting the medical billables.
yeah, so help me understand that. So you said there's only 17%?
17% of the 11,000 are actually receiving benefits, and that's
That's
only.
because,
Well, that's a long story right there. So military people mostly are A-type personalities, and I'm no different. When I first came back from Iraq, I said I'm fine, and my wife said, no, you're not. You're hurting everywhere. You've had some injuries, and it took me almost 10 years to even go and be seen at the VA. So I can attest to that. We have Korean War veterans coming in. Like today we had one, and the guy's in his 90s, and finally he's coming in. Some of these older generation people just don't They don't want to take what they consider charity. So part of the things I'm looking at is trying to get the word out, trying to get them to come in. Oftentimes, they're coming to us when they're desperate, when they're on the brink of almost becoming homeless. A lot of what we do right now is a lot of these veterans from, say, World War II or even Vietnam, they're passing away, and their spouses are stuck, with a lot less money than they had before, so they're looking for spousal benefits. So that's a huge part of what we do. And that, the spousal pension isn't even that big, but it saves them from going homeless.
So the 33,000 in hourly you're asking for is to hire,
So there's two different things. One is the COLA increase, and the other one is for another part-time position. If I had done this after seeing what I've seen in 2 weeks, I would have asked for a full-time position. And the reason for that is we have a satellite location in Portage at the courthouse, as you know, and it's not staffed all the time because our part-time person is there. But since we've had such a large volume lately here in this Phelps office, just in the last 2 weeks, I've noticed that since the PACT Act came out for Agent Orange, there's presumptives that have come out for Vietnam veterans. One of them is hypertension. I don't know of any 65-year-old or older from that era that doesn't have hypertension, especially after going to combat, right? And then you have the 20 presumptives from the Gulf War incidents or Gulf War conditions. Those are starting to trickle in, and that's the word is getting out about those. I myself, I'm a veteran that had some of the presumptives from the Gulf War conditions. That's going to be a huge increase in volume. I figure out on average, we spend probably about 10 hours per veteran just on a basic case, and that's a simple one that runs all the way through in 1 year. If it's complicated and there's a lot of issues in there, it could be a lot more work hours. And we have a full-time person right now who's an office manager and a veteran service officer. She's doing 2 jobs.
So I'm floored by the 17%. So do you know how that compares to other counties? Is everybody in a dismal 17% of
I
the
didn't
people
get a
that
chance to get
deserve
into
it?
that, but I'm sure they're probably pretty close. I didn't get
Because
a
part of
chance
my
to-
mind's going is where, frankly, where have we gone wrong?
So I didn't get to fully explain everything. I started off on something, I kind of went on a tangent, I apologize for that. A lot of veterans will not seek help. And so one of the initiatives I worked with through the Commissioner's Office is I'm going to actually create basically a renewed website with links that lead to resources that they can, and really I'm more interested in the veterans that might become homeless, because my main mission is to help the men and women that serve this country. I understand what a lot of them are going through. They do come to the office, that some of them are really desperate. And I want to keep them off the streets. And I know what you're asking me is, how is it this number? Well, a lot of these people just will not seek help. So I got to reach them somehow. And I'm sure this is a question a lot of people ask. And I used myself as an example earlier. I didn't seek help for a long period of time until my wife made me go, right? So
it's outreach and it's service when they arrive in Portage or arrive here.
you got to remember, some of these guys the ones that really got injured out there, some of these, infantrymen or, whoever was out there and got injured or hit by an IED, these are some proud people. They volunteered to serve their country, and now when they come back, they're going to say, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, and they're going to keep soldiering on. And that's just the mentality, and that's why you have that low number. Trust me, I'd like to grab every single one of them and bring them in here. When I set up a table out in the hallway with some pamphlets, and it's been successful in drawing a couple of people over that were waiting for the health department in the morning. And I asked them, are you a veteran? He said, yeah, I was just checking this out. Hey, do you have benefits? Why don't you come on in? And they had never even thought about seeking anything. And they didn't realize what kind of benefits were available to them. And there's a lot of non-tangible things that we do too. Like a veteran could be calling in and just asking about the hunting license, which we actually will approve and verify for them. Things like that. There's a million little services that are done out of that office.
yeah, Madam Auditor, you're leaning in again.
Yeah. Okay, so I know that you didn't put together the budget. So right now, your part-time person is paid $18 per
Right,
hour.
correct.
Or up to.
Yeah,
So
I saw 20 on here, and I think that's for the office manager. He just wrote it
The office
twice.
manager is considered full-time, so that's
Yes.
in a different area. So are you looking to increase that rate?
I believe that's what he meant by that. He didn't actually go over that with me, so I was kind of confused about that.
Okay, because we would need to know the rate, if the rate is changing.
Well,
So part of.
from 18 to 20 sounds pretty good for the part-time person, if it's achievable.
So,
And the other part is to add another veteran service assistant, part-time.
Right, so that would be a part-time position as based on what he put in.
Okay.
so we're gonna add another part-time
Part-time.
position, and we're changing the 144 also to $18 to $20? Is that what you're requesting?
That's what was on here, and also there was a request for 5.9% COLA for the 2 full-time positions.
Well, we're not addressing.
And we're not addressing that
No.
because, yeah,
Not at this.
Ed, I think,
Not at this time.
right.
That's part of the wage study.
Ed, I have a question for you. I think you heard that we're trying to do increases for the county. You were here at the beginning.
Right, I heard 9%, I should have scratched that
We're
out.
working at that, but in order to do that, we have to keep the increases down. So I'm just gonna ask you, what if we just said no to the hourly? How bad would that hurt you? What would that do to you if we said we're not going from 18 to 20?
Okay, there's a good and bad to that, and I understand where you're going with this, because that would allow us to maybe have another position, correct? That's where you're going with this?
No.
Two part-time?
No, I'm not increasing, I wanted to know,
Hear me out, sir.
but no, I just wanna understand, like, how bad
Okay,
would
the
that hurt?
part-time, from what I understand, because I actually originally wanted to work a part-time position as a veteran service officer. I'm retired, I have a pension. I wanted to do it, 3-4 days a week. And I tried to go down to Jasper County, but the guy who was supposed to retire didn't retire. He decided he's going to stay on until he expires. And that's okay, because he's really good. And actually, he's the one that directed me to this director's
Did you
spot.
say till he expires?
Yes. It's his words, I'm sorry, sir.
I get it.
But if you don't pay them enough on these part-time spots, it's actually hard to fill them, from what I understand. This is common throughout the state and for other places that mostly have part-time positions only, that it's hard finding good talent. Because then you're not getting someone who wants to put everything into it. Because maybe they have to feed their family and they're only making, that part-time amount in hours and that lower pay. Now they've got to, I don't know, go sell hot dogs on Saturday, downtown or something, which our part-time guy does to make ends meet. No, this is true. Okay, I'm not making this up. He's scraping by, right? He found this job because actually he came in for benefits and he was desperate and we had the position open from what I understand and they offered it to him. So really, he should get an increase in the hourly wage and we should get another position because I'm not staffing the Portage position full-time right now. Based on the volume that we had here that I've seen, I had to pull him back 2 days a week. So we're only covering Portage 2 days a week because he's not a full-time employee.
What's the volume in Portage, though? Is it needed
The
up there?
volume Portage isn't so much volume, it's that the people that aren't as mobile or have difficulty getting all the way over here to Valpo, they go to Portage and it just seems like there's a want for it there. I guess, I don't know, back in, some time ago, there was a request by citizens to have an office somewhere in that area. Then this is just from my understanding from history. I don't know 100% for sure if those other factors.
I'm going to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for your service.
Yes,
We
sir.
appreciate that and welcome.
Thanks.
When you talk about these individuals that are having contact with the veterans, what kind of credentials, are there any credentials
Are you
that,
talking about those veteran service officers?
yes, like this part-time person that you're talking about?
So he's got to have the same thing that every other service officer has to have. And the way it works is, at least in the state of Indiana, we all work with the IDVA or Indiana Veterans Affairs. And they are the center point for when we upload all the documents, when we do our power of attorney. Everything basically goes for them. They do a check and then they actually send it off to the VA. We pay for these services. Actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. IDVA pays for that portion of it. But we have to be connected to a local service organization, VFW, DAV, and American Legion. And mostly we use American Legion. And so you need, in order to work with any, and this is silly how they do this, and I don't understand this, but say they have a file over with DAV, and all I have is an American Legion certification, I can't pull that file. I have to call that officer and say, hey, this guy wants to come over here and I want to take it, and they could say no. I can't even view it. So it is important that we have as many certifications as possible. Once you get past the original ones, it's just a matter of applying for those other ones.
So the part-time position you have, there are
He
people,
is just as certified as everyone else. He has to be. There's no way to get around that one. And you would want to have him have the most training possible anyways. This is a customer service type of job. I mean, we're dealing with people's lives here. what I do and what they do make all the world of difference on the quality of this veteran's life. You know, if we can get them not only the health care they need, or maybe support for a spouse with a deceased veteran, or the children of a deceased veteran. I mean, all these things matter. And so, I don't know how else to answer your question, sir. Yes, it does matter.
So as
Well,
it,
not does it matter what kind of credentials.
Yeah, all those credentials do
Yeah, they
matter.
have those credentials to be able, they're qualified,
Anyone that actually has a
It's
sign
gonna be
for,
20, 18 bucks an hour, they have the qualifications to be able to,
yes, it takes a little time to get all of them, but yes, they have all the same qualifications as a full-time employee, if that's what you're asking, sir. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on something.
I'd like to ask a question. How long have we had a person part-time in Portage? Would you
I don't
know
know the exact number, I just know that
Years?
this one's been there for about a year.
I don't know how long we've had the.
So I was just being nosy over there. They were thinking, so I wanted to think with them. So the $60,000, and Tony, you were over there thinking, so if you wanted to add an additional part-time person, you know, that part-time person can only work a certain.
It's 29 hours
29
maximum.
hours. So if we paid him at $20 an hour, you know, what does that come up? What's the total to add one part-time person, you know, at the $20 an hour?
So, in order, at 20 bucks an hour, 29 hours, for 52 weeks, which is, I think, generous because that's not typical. That is a hourly, or an annual draw of about $30,160. So, you know, that's what it's just for one person at that rate, at those hours. So if you were to add another person, like if they wanted an additional administrative help, I don't know what they would want to pay per hour, but even if you add another 15,000, that would get another person in there for 2 more days. So that's a total of about $45,000 that's needed in that hourly line item.
Do you see what
I do understand, but you're asking for someone to work part-time just 2 days a week, but less hours, or are you asking?
And that's in addition to, so you already having one person.
Oh, I see what you're
that's
saying.
working a full, you know, and increasing that rate up to 20 bucks an hour, that would cost you about $30,160 annually. So if you add another person for 2 days a week, which is like an additional, say, 14 and a half hours or 15 hours, just ballparking, you would need an additional $15,000 on top of that. I'm just trying to give you some ideas of what you're looking at from a line item requirement.
So if he wants to do what he's saying he wants to do, what are you saying that cost will be?
Would you guys just raise the numbers?
So, I'm sorry, Jeremy, I missed your.
So if to add an additional part-time person, and then you're saying even a further person helping an administrative assistant?
So, one person alone is $30,160 at 20 bucks an hour. And if you, assuming a $20 rate, let's say they're, I don't know what you want to pay an administrative assistant, say it's 16 bucks an hour, and say you want to put them in there for 14 hours a week, just 2 full days, which is something. I'm not saying it's a full 29 hours, but at least it's something to help Paulina. That's an additional about $1,200 or $12,000.
so what you think to run your department? Right now, you have 2 full-timers and
So
1
two full
part-timer?
myself, the office manager / veteran service
Which
officer.
is a full-time person.
Which is a full-time, and then I have 1 part-time person that's splitting their time between Portage and Valpo.
And ultimately, based on how you feel about it now, you'd like to have ultimately the 2 full-timers, of course, and then also 2 part-timers.
I'd like to have at least one part-timer for Valpo, which would help us out with the day-to-day things going on there, and a full-time person at Portage is really what I want ultimately. But if I could get a part-time person, that'd be great.
So at least the one part-time person.
One additional part-time.
One additional part-time person, what does he need to do that at $20 an hour? What?
I'm saying that's the 30 she's talking about, but I don't know how much of that 60
So,
And you have
is.
to assume there's some holiday weeks in there where they wouldn't necessarily be working all 4 days or whatever.
So to have 2 part-timers, Tony, is 60 enough, or are you saying it's not?
For 2 part-timers, 60 is enough, but I'm just questioning, do you need 2 29-hour per week part-timers? Could you perhaps, you know, go a year with just a couple of days additional help as a part-timer?
The problem would be finding someone that would be willing to do that.
Well, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
I was going to kind of throw something out there, that you've been here 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
I think that before we start adding any employees, first of all, I'd like to give you time to get your feet wet. You said if you'd have known what you know now, just after 2 weeks, you'd want a full-time person, right? You just
Yes.
said that? But I think that this gentleman needs an opportunity to kind of get his department going. We're at a point now, and we have other department heads who would like to hire some people that have been asking for years, and we've kind of tabled it. I mean, not saying what you do isn't valuable and there isn't a need for it, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there for the group that in the midst of this whole wage, I mean, we're looking, I hate to use the word do more with less, but we're trying to get people more money. I'm just kind of putting it out there for consideration, if we're considering adding some employees at this point. I don't know if the timing is right.
I agree a lot with what you say, Mike. And with the wage, we are wanting to increase wages. And by adding more employees, even though it's part-time, wouldn't be paying it. It seems like we're, and I really appreciate it. God, welcome. Bless you. I hope you do.
I understand. Mr. Brickner, I totally understand. You don't have to apologize at all. I get it. I've been here all 5 minutes. But I've managed things quite a bit. I was a supervisor in the police department. I managed 20 people and did that for several years.
And that's your job, bless your heart, for asking.
Right, and I recognize that there's a need, and I'm sure everyone out here has a need. Everyone could always use more people. So you don't have to apologize when you tell me there's a problem with the budget. I get it, but it's my job to ask.
But not everybody out here
absolutely,
is assisting veterans.
Right, and
Who fought
that's
for
the
this country,
thing.
whether it's, like you said, from the Korean War to the,
We miss a lot of
Vietnam.
calls, I think, because if I'm handling a client, we call them clients, and the phone rings, it goes voicemail. Well, a lot of these people will not answer the phone when you call them. You leave messages, they don't call you back, and I've missed an opportunity to help someone.
So how much do we really need to increase hourly for him to get one part-time, an additional part-time person? Is that
It depends on how much you're gonna work on.
the max he can work part-time at, he or she can work part-time at $20 an hour?
What if we conceded to $18 an hour?
Then that's $60,320.
So that's what he needs, which is what he's, okay,
How much was it?
so.
But I mean, you could also increase the hourly rate.
But work fewer hours.
And I don't mean to be rude either, but I would have to agree with what Mr. Commissioner, Councilmember Brickner was saying down there. You know, he's got a good point. No, it wasn't, I'm sorry, I was trying to show respect by calling you council member. But I would agree that, you know, it's, you're new to the job, you're gonna get it, but we've got a lot of people asking for
And
increases.
you don't have to apologize for anything. My job's to fight.
But saying no sucks.
But,
We all wanna say yes.
I'm not gonna say that because I've been here before, I've done budget meetings before, and usually I don't get what I want anyways, so I'm used to that. But I will always fight for everything I think we need.
But you're pulling a person from Portage because for some reason there's an influx right now in Valpo
And
of,
I believe it's because of the PACT Act, the Agent Orange presumptives, and the Gulf War presumptives. There's over 20 just for the Gulf War burn pit registry alone. So there's people coming in now for that.
so if we don't approve this other part-time person, are we gonna be missing veterans getting assistance?
Possibly, because now he's not there 2 days a week, and he's part-time, so he doesn't work on Fridays. He works Monday through Thursday, so he's only there Monday and Wednesday.
Okay. You got a budget in front of you.
I would also ask about the training and education. They're showing that as a green number, I don't know if you heard, but a green number is not a fully expended account, so they might be able to save some money there, but you're asking for an actual increase when, well, our records are showing that you could actually save money.
If we
or
actually
give some
get this
money.
other part-time person, I'm gonna need that money. Plus, I'd like to get all the certifications possible for every single person in the office. Because right now, they're basically piecemealing it. One has, VFW, one has DAV, one has.
Okay.
I'd like to have everyone across the board be certified in everything.
Are there uses of volunteers in this type of, I'm just gonna.
So when you have service organizations, they are
I have learned
volunteers.
more about this department in the last 25 minutes.
Well, you can come down and visit and we can have coffee.
Which is very interesting, and I respect what you're doing. Is there, like, the possibility of volunteers for this type of?
Then I'll have to
Type of
ask for more
work?
office space, more computers.
I'm not sure.
No,
yet.
I'm joking about that. So the service organizations like the VFW, DAV, those are volunteers. In fact, if I had not gotten this job, I probably would have been a volunteer there. Problem with that is, a lot of those people have regular jobs, they have their regular lives, they don't put a lot of time in it, and there's not that concentrated effort like you do here when you have full-time people working on it, or someone getting paid an hourly wage. I think we just operate a lot more efficiently. Plus, my mission is just to help the veterans. I don't care about anything else that comes out of it, for me personally. I just want to help the veterans, that's why I took the job. And I'd like to think my partners are the same way that work out of there.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate your service like everyone should.
Thank you, sir.
And I also especially appreciate the passion that you show for what you do. I mean, that's pretty tremendous. I would kind of echo some of the comments in terms of, I'm anxious to see you get your feet wet in terms of how this could look versus how it looks today. And, because there's different components. I mean, I think if we have a veterans office in Portage that is open whenever, I don't think that's good enough. And I don't know what it would take to staff the Portage office and the Valpo office to make sure that there is that coverage. But I'd like you to take a look at that and find out what you think that recommendation ultimately would be.
Well, I can tell you right now, sir, with an person absent from there and only 2 days a week right now. And I only did that just to try to even things out, based on what I saw in our stats. There's veterans that, maybe using a cane or in a wheelchair, they don't call ahead, and they roll up to the Portage office and they see that it's closed. They may not ever come back. That's the problem.
I'm convinced we can do better than 17%. And I think with you at the helm, I think we got
I hope so.
especially good shot at it. And I know from my own perspective, I'd like to know, and I don't think it's necessarily before us tonight, but I'd like to know what you would propose and then open up that discussion when you're prepared to present it in that way, and talk about what we can do to help get the office in a better place. And there's ways the county can outreach and does, and I'm sure there's even more ways that we can do it. But I'm thinking we send tax bills out. Could there or should there be an opportunity to send a notice about the Veterans Office to tell them the services that are available at the county?
So one of the things we are doing is, like, for example, on Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to interview for a local newspaper and actually talk
love
about the
it.
Veteran
Excellent.
Service Office. I don't like to have my picture taken, but you'll see my picture in there somewhere. I'm just trying to think of everything I can do to get the word out.
There's
Because I
ways
use
the county
those
can
work.
help, and it's our duty to do that. And so whether it's tax bills, it's the newspaper, it's social media, understanding that a lot of those folks probably don't.
Yes, there's a certain amount of that crowd that just
But
doesn't know.
there's, we send out constant mailings about voter registration, where you're supposed to vote, all these different things. And I don't know why we couldn't marry up your message to those same people in a big, big way.
Ooh, Vicky's leaning forward.
So, Greg, Ed, real quick, Greg and Andy have a radio show that goes out to two people.
You don't have, no pictures.
So,
It goes out to two people.
In response to Councilman Justin, we are taking a small step towards that. Porter County is in Operation Greenlight County, which is a national week to draw attention to the problems that veterans have when trying to access public services. And today, the two of us visited quickly. Your office is participating with us and a couple others to help promote this, and we're going to start getting the word out. it was gonna happen today, but it didn't yet, but it will.
So I would just, I understand he needs to get his feet on the ground, but I think he's telling us right now he needs help for at least just one part-time person. And I understand we got to cut, but we're talking about a $44 million budget here, and we spend $143,000 on veterans outreach and services to provide them what they need. I think, in my opinion, if we can't find $34,000 to begin to help Ed do his job and reach out to veterans and get them the help they need, then we're being negligent to our veterans. That's just my opinion. This is insane. I know what we've got to do here, but $44 million general fund, we're spending $143,000, no, we're spending $100,000 on veterans services. So to me, this is an easy one, but the president doesn't make motions, so
What
I'll
would the
leave it to
bottom
the floor.
line be adding one part-time person?
That's what's
Depends on
presented.
how much per hour? $18 or $20?
I'd like to make a motion
At
to
20.
approve the budget as presented.
I don't even FICA and stuff in there.
It's a motion on the floor for $143,299.
Asking because I don't know, I'm just curious.
And that would be at $20 an hour for your part-time?
That'd be great, thank you.
And just to let you know, most of our hourly is up to $20 an hour. I
So
mean,
it's up to $20 an hour.
Is he asking for one or two people?
Greg, was that a second to
One additional, ma'am.
One additional.
one additional?
We have one.
I'll second it.
We have one part-time.
There's a second on the floor, which includes the full amount and up to $20 an hour. Further discussion?
Yeah.
One part-time person. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
I think can we get a roll call? I think I heard two. Was it just two?
I think it's,
This is not a vote against supporting our veterans.
amen to that. No, that's not what I'm voting
So was it
for.
5-2? Is that
I
clear?
think that would be a
Yeah.
All right.
misstatement.
I understand. And so all right, it passes 5-2. So, sounds like people are gonna come visit you. You got a lot of work to do. I appreciate your service. But I'm gonna say one other thing, that Mike hit on, what you said, 17%, is all that is getting service right now. We were given $33 million in this county through ARPA money, and it's only one-time money. So, and we've got to spend it in a couple of years. If there's some way that you can come up with, some programming that is just outreach over the next year or two, $50,000, $100,000, I don't know what better way to spend ARPA money on than outreaching to our veterans and, to get them in the door to get the help they need. So, we've got some money in, ARPA, so if
I'll
there's
help
some.
you spend that money, sir, I promise.
And our point has always been, it can't be recurring costs because we have a
Right.
limited time to spend it, but if there's some kind of outreach
For
we can
one
do,
time, right.
It's not really a main focus of this job, but one of the main things I wanted to look at was actually keeping those veterans that are almost becoming homeless, keep from being homeless. Part of that is getting them the benefits, but something like that could actually be used to help them, like, they couldn't pay their rent this month, and they're gonna get kicked down the street. Well, maybe I can get them into a place for a month or something. Or, there's programs like that already, but, I was thinking along those terms further down the road, just so you know. I know that it's kind of, there's a lot of things out there already, but
Right.
it's hard to reach those guys. They're the hardest ones to reach.
well, why don't you get with a few of us on some ideas,
Oh, well,
Moving
thank you
forward
very
here.
much.
Nice to meet you.
Appreciate your time.
so.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Pension office, we gotta cut that by 34,000.
That's what she said on the radio yesterday.
Would you like some blood too?
There's a $7,700 increase. This is a general fund, what are we increasing here? Contractual services for what?
Oh, where's our?
Purdue.
Purdue, 5% request increase.
They do that every year. It's just automatic or?
No, They haven't had the same funding at the university for extension that has in the past. We're hoping that this year they have a line item for extension monies, and they're hoping to get that funded so that there is not the ask at the county level like there has been.
Have you looked into like grants or anything that?
We do look into grants, and we are also working on some programs that are paid programs. They run through our, what we call CVent, which is an online method of signing up for programs, but that has a cost, so that makes the program more expensive. So it's, what, do you charge people more so that it's more convenient, or do you charge them less in the community so that they can get the most bang for their buck? So.
Mr. President, we do have some green over there, too.
Thank you.
You got some green. So this, we can whittle the 7,700 number down if she's working with us. So you got green here, training and education, it looks like.
So our training and education, a lot of that is happening right now, so we haven't turned that over yet, so we haven't requested.
So you can give us a little bit back?
But the reason it's on there
You know-
is because year after year for the last
It's not
few
being
years.
spent,
you
yeah.
haven't.
So you're asking for an increase, so I'm trying to lessen
We've
that.
only had it for 2 years, and so
We'll let them speak on that.
this is the second year that we would be requesting it. This is the first year we've had the $3,000, and this is,
I don't know.
right now, we are going through the training cycle. So we may have $500 in there by the time we get to the end, into the December. So, but where I really think that I will have money left over, especially this year, is in our part-time, because we were able to secure some funding through Purdue to pay for our current part-time person that we thought we would hire with county money. So we won't be paying for her through the end of the year. So I'm sure we'll have about $3,000. Was that a green line item?
It was not, so you're bringing in more green ones. I like your style.
Great.
How about travel? Can you do anything with travel? Because it's at 4,000, it looks like, right?
Right, but how much do we have in there? Because we still have 3 months left to pay.
Yes, those ladies.
And see, we didn't use any money during COVID years.
Well,
So-
good. We got to save $7,700 now.
Oh, okay.
Make you even.
I probably, maybe $500 we'll have left.
How much is in that?
Doesn't that give me 4,000?
I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just asking.
That's 4,000. How about that?
You'll get 4,000 back?
No.
Oh,
I've
well, I
already
like
spent
that.
almost 4,000. How much do we have? How much was in our green in our green?
For what?
You're asking for
travel?
4,000. You've spent 2,000 to date.
To date?
Right, but you've never really gone over 3,500.
Yeah.
So I think, so like 3,500 in the travel line?
Pardon me?
3,500 in travel?
Yeah. I think we can, yeah, I think that's probably about what we'll end up spending this year.
So put it to 3,500, it's $500 savings.
That's
But
right.
Yeah.
7,200 now, we're getting closer.
Madam Auditor, I have a question on, so the 7,700 that's being asked for, is that part of the known general fund increases?
No.
So were many of those? I mean, why would, that appears to be a known general fund increase?
Well, the known general fund increases that were on the list were what you've either approved this year that we have to build into the budget, or in the one case, we knew the Porter Stark obligation was going to be going up. But we didn't know what each individual department was seeing in increased contractual
Gotcha.
costs.
Okay, thank you.
Anita, I kind of know what the answer is, but what would happen if you didn't get this? Would your whole department, I mean, this is what you build your department on, right? The Purdue
yes.
extension?
So your question is if it weren't,
Case scenario, what if you didn't get this? What would
well,
happen?
would you only fund a portion of the contractual services? Or are you saying that you wouldn't fund any
What
of the
if we-
contractual services.
What if we didn't do
The
any of it?
increase. Okay.
If you
go ahead.
didn't give the 5% increase,
Well-
we would
Yeah.
try to, I mean, we would have to find some way to fill that gap. And so we would probably, even if we filled the gap for this year, we would be back next year asking for that 5% and whatever other increase there would be. Because the price, the costs are always going up. And this does pay for salaries as well as the benefit packages. It helps to pay for those.
So your hourly that you said that you got a grant for?
Yeah, well, because our educator had gotten, one of our educators had gotten a special assignment, extra assignment, then we were able to hire a part-time person as a program assistant to help fill that time that they might be spending doing this special assignment. So the university paid for that part-time person. We had planned to hire her to do our STEM outreach, and she's going to be able to do that now for us, but on Purdue money versus county money.
I was just seeing if there's, if there was money in hourly.
And that will last, it'll run through part of next year, so we won't need that money for part of next year either. So I think 3,000, we may end up turning money back to the county even because we have that person already staffed, paid for.
7,200?
Pardon me?
Is it $7,200 you're gonna turn back? That would wash it, that's what I'm asking. Trying to get to zero.
We've got 500.
That's what I mean, yeah. So if we just,
Probably, how much have I spent this so far? What do we have left in our part-time?
Well, you spent $16,453, so you have about 8,900 left.
8,900?
couple thousand.
Let's see. I could do,
Isn't this terrible?
I feel like a car dealer.
At the end of the day, we're gonna have to get there. If we wanted to take care of our employees, we're gonna have to cut. So it's,
Yeah, they want raises, but they're,
and we haven't done a good job tonight.
no,
What'd you say we have now?
terrible.
She could fix this right now.
how about we do 6,000 out of the hourly, and then we could take, did we take 500 out of training?
Wow.
So that gives me, is that 7? Have I made $7,000?
What just
I'm
happened?
down to 700, I got
We're on a roll.
We're at 67, we only took off $1,000? Oh, that's a different
Well, I
line
think
item.
that's excellent.
It's not totaling them both up, I see.
How about-
So it's only 700 over now? You're only 700 over, you're that close.
I don't know if I can squeeze it that much more. I'm pretty good at.
I'm not putting more pressure on you. I think I'm happy with where you went, but.
So what would the bottom line be with taking, what?
$276,140.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion in a couple seconds on the floor for
And
a
thank you.
$700 increase
That's,
to Extension Office. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Thank you for working with us.
you know what?
Running out of
Thank you
gas.
so much.
He'd be back,
Thank you.
but I don't think so.
All right.
Talk to Sims if you come back.
I can't come back.
I was so friendly
So
yesterday.
we have the council. Eric, in tradition, that the council's budget is up, the newest person has to go in front and
Go sit there, and then here's your green ones.
I'll do it, yeah.
There's a lot of green ones for
I'm
us.
not up here next year.
So real quick, we'll come back to the council budget. Let's,
I had to stand to get the blood.
yeah, come on, we'll come back, make sure we come back to the council budget. So what's, What's in front of us, then,
Okay, so when we submitted for
Back to
the
council and we'll vote.
additional for my salary, we didn't know where the wage study was gonna be. So obviously, you're working on that. That was great news to hear there's a committee. So I understand, that that's probably going to be something separate. So we're asking for other supplies, additional $36.95, and event expenses, an additional $2,800. So it's $64.95.
so this is general fund increase of $6,495. What are the other supplies that you're anticipating?
Pretty much the same type of supplies that we use all the time. It's just expenses have increased, and we're reaching out to more people. We had 4 events this summer. We had field days, pond management seminar, an erosion control workshop. So, just having more events now that COVID's over. So, have more events, have the need for more supplies.
And you have been one of the few departments that never ask really for anything about what your budgets
I'll
are.
come once a year, they cut me a check in January, and I don't look back.
However,
No, I
as you
understand.
see tonight, this is not a,
You pull their budget up, what they've spent this year?
Well, they spend down their budget every year.
That's not fun.
Well, as you said, we give you a
Yeah,
lump
they give me a check, I handle all the bookkeeping, and so.
Do you spend everything after we give you the
Oh,
money?
yeah, and more.
you said pretty much, that's.
Well, we spend everything the county gives us.
Okay.
Plus, we get a $10,000 grant.
Right.
Then we do our own fundraising. And I'm constantly making friends, which means when we have an event, can you give us $1,000 for this? Can you give us $1,500 for that? So it's been a lot of partnership that's made that district successful.
What's your current cash balance?
It's 152, something like that. It's just about that, yeah. Again, those agreements that we have with the federal government, so, and I understand,
Can you hold the line on other supplies for this year?
sure. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue. I mean, I understand you're in a tight situation, and you're trying to find money for increases. So, I've taken on a lot of extra this finding money, so that we could, when I first started, the district had $8,000 in the bank account.
So then take it, you took out the other supplies, but there's still a $2,800 increase, is that where we're at?
For the event expenses.
For what?
Event expenses, like
Event
field days
expenses.
and workshops.
You saying that's COVID-related, most likely? You're going to do more events? You did.
Right, oh, exactly, because you couldn't have any in-person events. So that's why we just decided to go back. So, that's,
Right, yeah, I don't know what you're thinking.
I'm pretty easy to get along with,
Yes,
where
you
you're coming
are.
from. I would not want to be in your chair.
So there's a budget in front of you with a $2,800 increase to the general fund.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion a second in the wrong way. Any further
I know
discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Well, we keep going, yep. We'll be back here at third reading cutting.
Well,
All right, what's next?
I'm just going to make it.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a general comment
Please,
to share with the group here.
please.
That we're going through this process, and we still have Thursday to look forward to.
2 more days.
And I'm just going to kind of throw it out there. I think, I've said it previously, but we have our departments coming to us with some of these increases to the general fund that are tied to COVID, as this was just, here was one example, and we've had some other ones, and we continue to increase this general fund when we still have, and I'm going to say, we still have ARPA money that is COVID money, and I'm still going to be an advocate for taking care of our employees and our departments first before we engage down the road, which we're going to have to address, this ARPA money being given out and doled out to some of these organizations that, no offense to them, they do good work. But I think that our responsibility is still going to come down to, at some point, we're going to have to address the increase in some of these costs, the increase, in some of these dollars when we're really trying to get a handle on the general fund. And I'm just sharing it with the group, kind of planting a seed that, we're not going to be able to avoid it for much longer, but we have several $1 million in ARPA money that is still on hold, for lack of a better word, until we can decide what we're going to do. But we've already had several departments just on today, and like I said, we still have Thursday. They're going to be coming to us because of costs have increased for one reason or another, but a lot of it because of COVID. And again, I'm just kind of putting it out there as a general comment. Not that we're going to do anything tonight, but I'm just sharing it with my colleagues here.
I understand, and I think it's, some of the stuff like that, though, I mean, I think she said we're coming out of COVID, so we're planning more events, people, but I think that's reoccurring year after year after year after year, so I guess the difference is, are there one-time things that we could spend with our ARPA versus reoccurring expenses? Maybe we can plug in the short term, but, once we have to spend that down, that reoccurring expense is going to continue on with us.
And I agree with that. It's a one-time, but I do think that this ARPA money was an opportunity that doesn't come along, it's going to be once in, most likely a time that we're on the council. And I think it's up to us to spend it wisely when we have the opportunity to do so and take care of our departments and our people first. And because we're getting deeper and deeper into the general fund, and we haven't even talked to Gurman yet. I mean, so anyway.
No, I don't disagree with what
you
you're
know what,
saying.
we have work, we have a lot of obligations ahead of us.
Yep.
And, again, nothing against these nonprofits that are sitting there waiting, for us to approve something. But, again, just from I'm just kind of sharing that, where I stand with it is that I can already see a need, we're going to be over budget.
At this
General
pace,
fund.
at this pace, yeah.
And we have a wage study that, we want to pay people, that I think we're obligated to, but, we just keep increasing the general fund as we're going along here, and, we're not even halfway finished yet.
Nope.
So I'm done.
And I think our choice to not, the board to not approve that, I think it's wise this time until we can figure some things out for certain. I think your point is well taken. So, we've got some work ahead of us over the next couple days, so. All right, the assessor. So maybe we can just start cutting, maybe you're first up.
You want to hear about her green? You want to start there?
Yeah, so, well, hold on, let me figure it out. The assessor, but their general fund is, there's no change, the bottom line's the same, but you're saying there's some green in there.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Andy, you're up.
Assessor, it looks like travel, $74.99. There's some extra money in there. Nothing's been expended so far.
What
And
we try
then,
to do is we spend everything out of the reassessment fund before we go to the general fund. So if we can fund it out of the reassessment, we do that.
so can we lessen that number? Can you take that number down? Because it looks like,
We can, but if the reassessment fund goes down, then, because we have to pay the field workers when they go out and they can use their own, because we only have one vehicle for us for our 60,000 parcels. So we have to have the travel money for when we go out and reassess, because we have to reassess.
you have one vehicle and the other one has two?
It's 2012.
What?
Yeah, and so we have, people use their own.
Can we take
personal-
one from 911?
There's one
We
available.
tried, but.
There is one available, and I tried.
we tried.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
But we have to pay these field workers when they go out and use their own vehicles, and like this year, we're in Valpo, so we're not using a lot of money necessarily, but when we're in Pine, they're driving from here to Pine every day, and like during the summer, I have like 12 teams of people doing that.
So what do you think, we could cut that down by half?
For now, I mean,
Yeah, it's a start. I mean, if you got to come back in front of us, that's going to happen, but
changing my budget. My budget's all.
we want to give increases. I don't know if you heard that part of this.
I heard that.
We got to work together to get there. The second thing we're looking at is dues and subscription. It looks like 2,500.
Right, and again, we take it out of reassessment. So we've been doing it the last couple of years.
So what's the reassessment fund look like, Madam Auditor?
Good
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not a huge fund,
No.
but it's, as long as you don't go overboard, you'll be
No.
okay.
Like, we've been using the sales disclosure fund, we've had a lot of sales lately, so we've been using our sales disclosure fund to fund our contractual. I guess we haven't used most of it, but we're trying to pay certain things out of there, but sales are going down now, so now we're gonna, kind of a little bit more on the reassessment fund where so we might have to move some money. If sales keep going down.
How much
The last
is in
few
there?
years, it's been very healthy, but now it's starting to go down.
Cash balance, is that, what's, the cash is 76,000?
Yes.
Yeah, we get it when taxes are done, so we have an outstanding, well, not reassessment right now, we don't have anything really outstanding, just salaries, we pay one salary out of there. And we usually use a lot of contractual, we haven't really used a lot of that, we haven't had any, like we had the Missy Glenn fight before, for a few years, and that was a lot of.
Wait, it's contractual.
And this year we haven't had any deal issues.
Well, how about if you would, the reassessment, if you would pay these, 3 people?
You want 3 people?
Maybe I'm looking at something wrong. The assessor, I'm sorry. I'm looking at, the next one coming up.
Yeah, no, we pay one salary out of reassessment, and the rest of the salaries come out of the general fund, and like my hourly, I try and use reassessment as much as I can, pretty much. You could take some travel away.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think we should look at least halving travel and the dues and subscriptions. Just my thought. I don't know if you agree with that.
Just subscriptions, I can see that's just, we have to pay, we're required to be our level 3 certified, so we are required to be going to conferences. The state pays for our January conference, they don't pay for our summer one, but we did okay this year on it, so I took that all out of reassessment this year.
So are you okay with my proposal dividing both of those in half? Is that okay with the rest of the council?
Anybody can make a motion. Is that me?
Okay, I'd make a motion to accept it based on both of those being divided in half as,
Second.
So there's a motion, a second on the floor, which is gonna cut the budget.
save us like 5,000.
So the bottom line is,
865, 493.
all you gotta do is put the cursor there, I'm good.
It's on it, 865.
$865,493. I'm just messing around, Madam Auditor. So it's a decrease. There's a general fund budget going down for us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
I mean, and if it's needed, I mean, we're here every month. So, motion and second on the floor. Why, are you guys talking bad about me over there?
No. Trying to live within the budgets, not keep inviting people back every month.
Yeah, they don't like it.
All right, don't come back then. Thanks for the $5,000. All right, so there's motion second on the floor, further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Reassessment's yours, right? You do that, you
Yep.
kind of split it, don't you?
It says there's an increase, but what we're actually doing, what I would propose to do is we need to increase our stipends for our level 3s because during COVID, we took advantage of the Zoom meetings and we got almost everybody in our office now is a level 3. We have to pay the stipends to them. So I just wanted to take that out of another line item and move it up to that line. So we had 12 currently on our 144 and we want to make it to 17.
Wow.
So 5,000, I was assuming probably some contractual. We're not asking for an increase, just moving it. But there wasn't a way to do that.
So say that, you lost me
So
there.
on our 144, currently we pay 17 people $1,000 for the level 2.
Yes.
And we're currently paying 12 people $1,000 for the level 3.
Yeah.
I anticipate by the end of this year, we'll have almost everybody having their entire level 3, depending on the election type of thing. So we do 5 extra thousand, I just want to move it to a different line item
Okay.
up to that.
So you need $5,000 and you want to, where do you, Where's it currently paid out of?
We don't have it currently paid.
She's saying take it out of contractual and put it in salaries.
But you're saying you don't have it. They're not there yet at that.
We have 2 other people that they just need one more class. So you have to take 5 classes to get your level 3. So we have 2 employees in 1 class and we have 2 employees in 2 classes. So they should have it by the end of next year. And that way I wouldn't have to come back from here.
So
it's very unusual.
you're asking for this raise in anticipation of what's going to,
It's not even a raise, it's just moving it there. to
well,
prepare.
it's right
Yes.
there.
So you have the $2,000, you just need another 3,000, or you need another 5,000?
We need 5,000 to do that line.
So you're saying we can move it from contractual, we can move that down to 195,000, and we can increase
Oh, wonderful.
to salaries to
It's not an increase.
$77,115? So that- Then move it up to 77,000, right, $115, is that what you're saying, right there?
Yeah.
Does that look good?
Yep.
So what is the total bottom line then? There's just a slight increase in the reassessment fund? Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
It's 47.
Something that wasn't right in the 22, I don't remember what the problem was. Something wasn't.
You've added 2 more level 2s, is that?
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
An additional 2,000? But will that 77,115 be suffice for your level 3s? Not level 2s, level 3s.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
So the bottom line is,
The same.
where's the cursor?
No,
Well,
it's up slightly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the
I make a
same as what you
motion
presented.
to, Pass 4778, what is it,
818, 818.
That's my motion.
Second.
The motion is second on the floor for $477,818. Further discussion?
Thank you.
None? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I
Thank
know
you very
that's
much.
hard. I know. And it's late.
And congratulations on your new job as county assessor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my. No, I didn't look for that.
Where's
There's a whole purpose why I didn't run for that.
where's the assessor at?
Yeah.
It's a family emergency.
All right, all right, all right.
Have a good night.
Are we done? Come on, Portage Township Assessor. General fund.
We're on a roll.
We're on something.
Yeah, I know.
It's like there's an increase of $5,885, $850.
Yeah, that is for training and education. What happened this year is, I normally just have our staff go to they were doing it online classes and going to IWU and Maryville for one-day classes. Well, something was happening with the contracts and everything for continuing ed classes, and it's making me nervous. So in July, I signed us up to go to conference, the summer conference, to get our continuing hours. But now they have brought it back. So since they have brought that back, I can bring down my, I can cut that from my budget, the education, because I can go to the one-day classes instead of conference.
All right,
in
so take out the
Indianapolis.
$5,850.
Yes. As of right now, I don't need to go, but I might have to
So the
come back.
travel is the same thing though, right? I mean, the travel is part of your traveling to go
Well,
to
my
training.
travel was including food, mileage, and fees, registration fees, and hotel.
So do you
for
need
all
to
6 of
travel?
us. So I would just need just 1,000 in travel.
So take it back to last year. So are we just, so is last year's budget then?
Is that what it is then?
Yeah.
Is that what that be then?
It's a decrease, right?
Yeah. I will only come back unless if I have to send us all to the conference in Indianapolis.
So there's a decrease in your budget of $5,400 because you're decreasing a couple other live dues and subscription and contractual services
Yeah.
So the bottom line,
is $5,400 less.
Move to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Reassessment.
The reassessment, my only increase in that, I think it is for, I know we're not supposed to talk about salaries, but I just lost another person for the second time this year, my part-timer. And I'm wanting to increase their wage because two people have left because they got a better paying job with benefits. So I know you don't want to give me a full-time person, but I have to increase salary so I can keep somebody. The goal here is to keep them all the time. I'm either here all year long and for long term. And they don't just do reassessment, they help with personal property, mobile homes, sales disclosures, anything else that's need to be trained in the office, and they do get their levels.
What's the current rate per hour?
I'm at $17.50 right now. And
You're saying county,
Well, I misspoke on that. That was, I had thought that was at 25, but I misspoke on that one, so
So what-
that's
what do they-
incorrect. So,
what do the folks here pay?
Mary?
We pay, 16 for our part-time field people, but they're not doing any work. They're just actually doing outside field work. We don't really have any part-time office people. So she is looking, we had somebody doing office stuff, and that would be maybe more than 16.
Excuse me.
So and how many people are in that role?
We're 6 of us right now.
That are part-time?
No, there's only one part-time.
So it's one part-timer
Mhm.
going from $17.50 to $25 per hour?
Right.
And that does add up to that $11,300?
Correct.
1750.
Well, yeah, the state does, but they also thought, I think my budget only increased by 5,900. Because I cut some other things, looks like. Yeah, for my contractual services. And office supplies,
That's
looks
a
like I
big
cut from that
percentage
too.
increase.
Is there a reason you're choosing 25 over 20, which is, seems to be the,
Just to keep somebody, you know, I'm struggling right now. I mean, they quit right in the middle of my reassessment right now.
But at 20, you couldn't keep them?
Well, I don't
know.
know. I'm just trying to offer somebody something because it's been twice this year I've already lost somebody. And we still have till the end of the year to finish our reassessment.
But part-time jobs, a lot of times, people will be leaving and there'll be turnover because they're part-time and they're looking for full-time
Correct.
gigs. So that's
But-
not,
When I talk to them, when I interview them, I tell them the goal is to keep them there, you know, so maybe eventually they could take over the reassessment. Because I have one person right now, she could retire at any time. So when my person that's in charge of reassessment moves up in a different position to take care of something else, I need that part-timer to move up to be in charge of reassessments on, even though they'd be doing other things, you know what I mean? I'm trying to keep someone there trained that will stay there for a long time.
could you do a less increase than 25 to?
Whatever.
You can say no, I don't know.
I cut my general budget for you, honey.
You did. And you did a great job, and I thanked you for that. This won't hit our general fund, I'm just asking.
So you're short a person right now, so you need to hire this person. And how are we staffed here? Are we fully staffed, or?
I don't have any part-time besides the 2 field people. We haven't found anybody that wants to work part-time at all, so we just do full-time people are absorbing it.
Is there any green lines on that?
when it says here consistent with county pay, is that?
I misspoke on that. I had thought they had.
Base? Are we looking at base, Vicki? Do we know what that is on a wage? Or is this on our wage for base?
No, I'm,
well, can you at least do 22? I'm trying to do something to keep somebody.
I personally, and I can't speak for anyone else, I'd be a lot more comfortable at 22 than 25, only because it's from 1650 to 22. Okay, that makes sense. From 1650, almost a $10 raise, that's a lot of money. So that's my thought.
Desperate need.
I get it, but you might, at 22 bucks, you might still be
Yeah.
pretty attractive at a part-time position,
Then I
I
don't
think.
have, you know, they're looking for, they quit too because I can't offer them benefits. So I have to compensate somewhere with that, you know, so.
Yeah, you already have $20 an hour. Were you paying that person $20 an hour?
No, I was paying them $17.50.
So you had room to pay them $20 an hour. You had room to pay them up to $20 an hour,
Right.
right? So, I mean, your 144 on the reassessment fund is 15 up to $20 per hour.
So is this something that we need to look at
But
our base pay on the wage study before we look at a dollar amount or not? Am I-
They didn't look at part-timers, all right?
no, it doesn't look at
They were very narrow.
Yeah, so if it's not, you're not comparing apples to apples, then when you got benefits with a full-time employee.
What's the hourly rate for a full-time person doing the same job? Do we know that?
I don't know that right now.
No,
I can't,
You'd have to take in consideration what they're getting for health care and whatnot, too. Not saying that can't be figured out, I just don't know.
yeah, that I didn't figure out.
So when you lost some of these people, you didn't realize that you could have offered them a few more dollars an hour?
It's about $25 an hour.
$25 an hour is roughly what a,
Well, I didn't have it in my budget at the time to offer more, but they were going for benefits too. So I lost them because of the benefits and I can't offer them that. So my significant increase would, you know, to the 25 kind of compensates what I can't give them to make them stay long-term.
But right now, Alta, you do have authority to go up to $20 an hour in the salary ordinance.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is that number at 22 an hour? Is it a big change or no?
33,176.
33,176? I would make a motion to approve it at the $22 an hour. Everything else is fine with me.
so you're saying change her 144 to up to $22 an hour?
Yeah, give her that ability, because, I mean, that gives her quite a bit of extra money to
So then,
offer.
what's the number on,
Hold on, you gotta do FICA's 4029.
And she said she could make that work. She growled at me and yelled at me, but.
183, that's good, okay, that's.
Oh, you should be used to it, you're married.
so the bottom line for the Portage Township reassessment would be $81,877. It's a $1,294 increase.
That's my motion, yes.
There's a motion.
Second.
Second. Further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Hopefully that works.
All right.
If not, talk to us again.
Prosecutor, looks like the bottom line's the same.
Move.
Gonna stay this whole time? We gotta let him come up and yell at us, tell us something. Patiently waited for 3 hours.
Wow.
I have a question for Vicki.
Yes.
In our general fund, under law books,
Yes.
can you tell me how much we've spent out of that today?
How did you know that was green?
Because I think we've been paying for our books out of a different fund.
We're calling it up. So far today,
It was really green.
law books, you've spent $4,195.66.
Okay. I think we can knock that down to probably $7,000.
You guys come up here, already know what's green. I mean, I like the way you roll.
He's been here.
Sounds first rodeo.
Okay.
We got it.
They're prosecutors. If they don't come prepared, they lose.
I move to approve based on the new number, the $4,200 savings.
Absolutely.
So there's a reduction of
Second.
$4,200. The bottom line is $1,151,741. Motion second. Further discussion? We all good? All in favor of that number signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, county user fee,
These are non-general.
prosecutor referral.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't have any control, well, this is money that's generated by our infraction referral program, so it is not general fund money. I don't have any control over the Medicaid life insurance. I think there's a typographical error in office supplies. I think that should just be $15,000 without the $65. So we may have made a mistake when submitted, I'm not sure.
So the bottom line,
No, they submitted it. We didn't touch it.
Okay, yeah, so I think it's a typographical error. So that should just be $15,000.
We got it.
Okay.
So, Gary, the medical life insurance, is that a mandated increase, or
Yeah,
how did that go up?
I think that was just a different percentage, because we're still paying employees out of this infraction deferral fund. I bring that up every year because I don't think we should, but the fact is we are, and that percentage went up, and that's why that number is greater.
And that percentage went up based on,
The new percentage that everybody had, yes.
okay.
so the,
Why did it go?
where's the number? Where's my cursor?
Where's my cursor?
What's going on over there?
No, we're just wondering why it went up, but it's because we never picked it up last year when the rate did go up. So this is the correct amount.
Gotcha.
And you're paying a grant or two people out of this fund for insurance because,
No, we're not paying any grant people out of this fund.
no, you're paying the grant person's insurance out of this fund because the grant won't cover it.
Oh, okay, all right, yes.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
There's a motion and a second on the floor to approve it at the, is that right? The new number is $340,206. Motion and a second on the floor. Further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. All right, county user fee prosecutor pretrial. There's an increase of $33,495. It's like some office supplies, some legal.
Yes,
A little bit of
okay, so
FICA.
there's a mistake here too.
Okay.
So the $230, again, I don't have any control over that. I think that's maybe a grant. There's a grant person in this fund. So that explains that. The $10,000 was an addition that we asked for this year. All we did was move money from the fund itself into a line item. That's that $10,000. Then under the legal, that 42,972, excuse me, the 22,929, that's a typographical error on our part. That was $20,000 even. And again, we moved money from the pretrial diversion program into a line item, and we added $20,000.
Excuse me.
We did that in May, I think.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's a motion and a second on the floor at $139,048. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Prosecutor, PCA.
Mr. President, I make a motion on the next three if possible. Prosecutor, PCA, domestic violence, and stop grant prosecutor. Are you cool with
Motion on
that?
the next three, they look like they're exact same at 10,000, 180,000, 38,610. Motion, second discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Sounds like Eric needs to get in front.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Armando should come all the time. This is Armando Salinas, this is our chief deputy prosecutor, if you've not met Armando.
Hello again.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you also.
No Sims from court,
So,
probably.
yeah, third reading's when we're gonna really get into the wages and stuff, so.
Got it.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Let's tell you what, I said.
All right, so let's
I'm gonna
jump
make it
back
nice.
to council, general fund.
Well, there's lots of green on ours.
Eric?
There's a lot of
Oops.
Joy, where can we save? What can you get back?
You can just roll it back to next year, last year.
Council.
Well, there's a lot of green ones. I wasn't even looking at rolling things back yet.
So rolling back, it's the same. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah, but we have things that are not being expended.
$150 increase. I don't know.
Sometimes you need it for other things.
Yes.
What is this, $15 for flowers?
Well, how about hourly, guys? Hourly is, we've only expended 4.7%, and there's 10,000 in there?
Just the cushion we've used for different things. I mean.
Right, and it makes sense. I'm not
I mean,
saying.
the beauty of it is, we are the council, and if we need more money,
So leave our budget as is, and we'll come back to the green?
I don't, wait, you wanna cut it, Sylvia?
No, absolutely not. I think we should leave it.
So,
That's what I was asking.
the same, put it back to 218,193, whatever that change was, just put it back. I mean, we can do transfers or anything, right? Sylvia, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Put it back.
Okay, yep.
The same as this year.
I'll move to approve, same budget as last year.
So there's a motion
Second.
and a second on the floor for,
Sylvia.
I made that motion. It's okay.
Second it.
That's okay.
$218,193.
Geez, she got mad.
Discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, riverboat money, it's the same. $157,239, motion?
What did I do?
Second. Discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Madam Auditor, what did we do?
I hate to ask.
We did good, guys. I know
What did we do tonight?
we stayed on top of these green numbers. Who gave Andy the loudest mic, by the way? Because this picks up everything I say.
We could remove it.
Probably makes sense.
Yeah, did you hear that?
No,
196, 913.
is what we did what?
Up.
Okay, hold on. So we added
Yes.
196,
196,
913.
913.
So in terms of the amount,
So where we started our discussion where we had to cut $500,000, we added roughly $200,000.
right,
Brilliant.
Where did we get $200,000? And we're talking about $500 savings here and there.
Yeah, we,
34,000 was veterans.
what was the second one?
Coroner was
coroner.
55,000, 92,000 for sheriff, 34,000 for veterans, 31,000 for jail.
Can you break that down for us and put that in, a quick spreadsheet and email
Okay.
it to us, or hand it out on Thursday? What
So
we increased?
63,000 was in the known increases, so what
Hey,
about?
our new guy for Veterans Affairs knows it's got.
So we added roughly 160,000, we weren't really calculating.
130.
130, I'm
I
sorry.
hope he knows. He doesn't start posting that, because that could change.
Okay, could you break down what we did or damages?
Yeah, I've got a spreadsheet.
Okay. So, what, Andy?
I was asking, I wonder if
Oh,
Ed,
well, wait, I heard him.
no, does Ed know not to hire now?
Thing.
So,
Make sure it gets to third reading before he posts an ad. The Veterans Affair guy, that's what I was talking about.
right.
that's what, I mean,
Commissioners was a big budget, you got a lot of room to work.
there's no doubt that Commissioner's budget, we're gonna have to dive into. I think that I'm gonna get with the auditors and kind of dive into what they've been spending and what they haven't expended, you know, to look at some wiggle room in there. I mean, we've got lit, there's a lit increase, but I know we need insurance money. We can't forget that. So, yeah, we headed in the wrong direction tonight, there's no doubt, but it's just gonna make third reading a little more difficult. But be creative, look, see what we can, you know, I know we've talked about a couple areas, but Mike, to your point, I mean, are there one-time expenditures we could find? I mean, that's the tough part in these budgets that we could use ARPA for.
I think part of that, it kind of buys us a little bit of time. And re-examine some of that money. It gives us, I mean, this is a big year, I mean, you know, with wages and a wage study, but yeah, we have work to do, we have to really into it, but I think if we just kind of look at it and take a pause, so that it might buy us some time to see how we are going to consistently fund some of these, because everything's going to get more expensive. I don't see much, if anything, getting much cheaper. And I guess just kind of throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get creative here. We're gonna have to dive in to see, you know, like we said, the commissioner's budget is like $10 million, right? Isn't it like almost a quarter of our general fund? So, I mean, there's room there. So, I don't know. What was that, Andy? Anything to share with the rest of the class?
I said, holy cow, I didn't realize it was that big. I knew it was a big push
Yeah.
in the budget, but a quarter of the budget? I didn't
Bless you.
realize that. Bless you.
Yeah, it's a big, yeah, it's so.
I swore.
We gotta dive in, you know, to that. There's other funds, there's CCD that they have, there's lit that they have, you know, that there's some room. I think we just have to do our homework here and look at, you know, what some of these other budgets are expending. If we can't claw back in the general fund, then we're gonna have to look somewhere else to claw back. So, and find room. So.
I really think that some of the departments did help tonight. Really helped us.
It was nice to see.
So with that, yeah, so, I don't know.
Chill.
So Thursday, we're getting into survey, you know, the surveyor, public defenders, the courts and stuff. So it looks like we've, you know, we get in the court, recorder stuff. So maybe we can defund the surveyor.
Let's be realistic here.
Okay, fine, I was just thinking, so.
You need a motion to adjourn? I'll make it. Motion to adjourn, Mr. President.
Motion and a second on the floor to adjourn up until Thursday. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Oh, same sign.
The devil's out yet. You guys all have a